And welcome back, everybody, to the Gridiron Expert. How's everybody doing on this fine Tuesday evening? God, we couldn't be more excited. Last week was great, right? Last week was phenomenal. Got things kind of kicked off, kind of warmed up a little bit with the start of college football heading into week 0. But now it's the real deal. This is where the fun begins, right? This is where the fun begins. Week 1 getting underway in just 2 days. Our first live call-in show of the season. Again, we'll be doing this every single Tuesday right here on our channel, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time, every single Tuesday. We want you guys to be a part of it. So we are very, very excited to get things going. And what we're going to do, we're not going to open up the call line yet, but I'll throw that up there for us today. So we've got some info that we can not have to repeat ourselves nonstop. But so glad to have everybody with us tonight. We've got a long show coming your way. We're going to be taking your calls here in a little bit, your questions in the chat, anything you guys want to know or discuss or debate or anything like that pertaining to college football week 1 or life in general, whatever comes your way, we're going to talk about it here tonight. So real quick, major shout outs to our regulars, our man Eddie Rose, our man Flobe, South Tex, good to see you. It's been a hot minute. C. Glassman 81, go Irish. UCF, our man DM, DN Murr now is his official username on YouTube, but always going to be DM to us. So good to see you, my man. Robert, good to see you. Who else we got? Rick, he says USC defense isn't good. We're going to talk about that. CWD Prince. Paul Warren, college football guru, good to see you. And yes, I saw your comment about you mailing that helmet, which I really appreciate, by the way. I'm not sure why it hasn't gotten here yet. Postal Service could have screwed something up. That's happened with a couple other people. So I'm going to be checking every day, my man. I know you said you mailed it last week, so I'm not sure where you were mailing it from, what part of the country you're in. But we will check every single day, and hopefully we'll get that here in the next couple of days and have it up on display, just like we have all of our other gear on display, like we got there at the bottom. And we'll touch on that in a second. But, I want to, again, welcome you guys all back. We do want to talk about week 0, what we saw this last Saturday. Then we want to dive into what we're going to see in week 1. And, of course, take your calls on that as well. Again, so glad you guys could be here. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. We're on our road to 12,000 subscribers. We're really on our way there. So we're getting close. And we can't do it without you guys' support, for sure. Before we dive into some of the other just basic, agenda type things, I want to talk about week 0 first. And then we're going to open up our phone line so you guys can start calling in. But I want to start diving into week 0. And Clement, real quick, the deadline for college picks on the website, our expert picks are released every Wednesday at noon. So at the latest, they will always be posted by Wednesday at noon on our website, Clement, excuse me. So we'd love to have you sign up. Just as everybody else is down there on the ticker. Go sign up for those expert picks in the comments or in the description. Road to 100. If we can get 100 signups this year, we're doing a 24-hour live stream. That's kind of the incentive for all of us here. Incentive for us, incentive for you guys. So if you can spread the word, sign up yourselves, whatever you want to do, best picks in the country, guaranteed. And we get a 24-hour live stream out of it. And we're hoping to do it this season. So help us out. That's Wednesday, Clement, but you can sign up anytime. It's a year-long subscriptions. Anytime you sign up, you'll get full access to everything. So I hope that answers your question. I want to dive into week 0. Look, it was a weird week, right? We knew going into the week it wasn't going to be as good as week 1. Obviously, the matchups just simply weren't there. But I think we were kind of curious to see Notre Dame. We were curious to see USC. And even some of the other games provided some great entertainment. I do think Dana Dimmel at UTEP should be fired on the spot. I think he should have been fired immediately because that play calling at the end of the UTEP Jacksonville State game was god awful, unbelievable. So I could not believe that. Could not believe how poor UTEP was. 40 pounds heavier up on front on the offensive line, averaging 5 yards per carry on the day against Jacksonville State. Needed 1 yard to pick up a first down on 3rd and 1. 3rd down and 4th down, needed 1 yard to pick up the first down with plenty of time left. Maybe had a shot to go win the game, and instead threw the ball twice. And throwing the ball really hadn't had any success that way. So it was a mind-boggling decision by Dana Dimble and UTEP, who I think clearly was, in my opinion, was the better team against Jacksonville State, but boneheaded mistakes and really lack of physicality, because UTEP should have been blowing them off the line all game and they weren't, ended up costing them. And I would have fired Dimble right there on the spot, right there on the field. He would not have taken the flight home from Alabama to El Paso. That's just my take. That was probably the most intriguing game. If you're looking at the two legitimate playoff contenders, Notre Dame and USC, as our man C. Glassman keeps talking about, Notre Dame looked dang good. Notre Dame looked unbelievable. And I know some people don't want to hear that, right? But it was an unbelievable performance. And I know it was just Navy. You know, some people are like, it was Navy. Let's see how they fare against Ohio State, Notre Dame. Here in a couple of weeks, we'll play NC State. Let's see how they play there. But, I mean, I'm not going to go out there and say Notre Dame hasn't had good quarterbacks over the last couple of years. You know, I'm not going to say that. I mean, Jack Cohn was fine. Last year, Tyler Buckner, Drew Pine, fine. You know, Ian Book, fine. But getting a guy like Sam Hartman might be the missing piece that Notre Dame hasn't had these last couple of years. You know, that they're going to have a solid ground game. They were balanced offensively. That first drive was really impressive. Took, like 7 minutes off the clock to start off the first quarter against Navy. Their first drive lasted like over 7 minutes. It was balanced. It was efficient. Hartman was on fire. He looked good. The defense, stingy as always. They were trying to pitch the shutout. Fell just short of that, but can't complain when you have 39-point win. Notre Dame looked unbelievable. And as Robert says, USC defense is terrible. Is Notre Dame going to beat USC? I'm not going to predict that game now. We're still weeks away from that, right? We got a long ways to go until we can finally see those two teams square off in South Bend. But, I mean, after watching USC, that was our major storyline, right? If you went and watched our Week 0 predictions, we said USC is going to beat San Jose State. We know that. And there's, that would be insane if they lost. But the major storyline to watch is, will USC's defense look better? And the answer on Saturday was no. They did not. The defense was atrocious, per usual, but it was hard to watch. And if you're a USC fan, that great, you're 1-0, congratulations. I would be a little concerned if I were you going forward, because what you have to realize, and San Jose State had a veteran quarterback, they had a great wide receiver corps, whatever, but you haven't played Notre Dame on the road. You haven't played Oregon on the road. You haven't played Washington. Yeah, you get to host them. You haven't played Utah. You're about to play some really good teams coming up that have significantly better offenses, significantly better defenses, and some of those games are going to be on the road. And if you can't shore things up, this might not be the year that you want. And, we had USC making the playoff. We had them going 11-1, winning the Pac-12, making the playoff. And I'm going to stand by that right now. I'm not going to change my prediction after one game, especially this early on in the year. But it was concerning. It was very, very concerning. And I saw an interesting concept, an interesting take, and it was, hey, do you really think, and I doubt this, but do you think USC's defense, the players out there, are even concerned when they're out on the field? Do you think they're just like, if we get a stop, cool. If we don't, no worries, because we know our offense is one of, if not the best offense in the country, we'll be just fine. I mean, if that's the mindset of your defense, if that's the mindset of the players out there, which I doubt it is, but if it is, then there is no concern. There is no, fight. USC is all about fight on. Well, defense probably doesn't fight on. Why would we fight when we know the offense is going to bail us out every single time? If it's a 58-55 game and we win, who cares? I mean, the offense came through clutch for us, not us, not the defense. So it's a lot of interesting speculation, obviously, for USC. The schedule is only going to get tougher. And if they don't fix that defense, this could be a rough year. There aren't many defenses, and that's the thing. There aren't many defenses that can stop USC. But when they run into one that can, Notre Dame can, Washington can, Utah can, Oregon might, could be a bit of a rough year. So time will tell. But those were the two biggest takeaways there. Vanderbilt-Hawaii was an intriguing game. Vanderbilt looked like they were going to run away with that. The fact that Hawaii actually had a chance to win the game or tie the game in the final minutes was, I think, a really bad testament to, Vanderbilt improving. I think we thought Vanderbilt was going to take a very big step forward, and they didn't. They looked good at times, but made some stupid, boneheaded mistakes as well. So that's a bit of a concern. Hawaii playing this coming Friday against Stanford very well could be a win for the Rainbow Warriors. We actually predicted that to be a win back in in like July. Thought Hawaii would beat Stanford. So something to watch out for there if you're looking for a free pick. So interesting stuff. But other than that, otherwise, week 0 was, I'd say mediocre at best. Had some interesting games. We learned a few things, but now the fun's really ready to begin. We've got week 1 coming up underway on Thursday. Some big matchups on Thursday with Florida, Utah, with Minnesota, Nebraska. Friday, got some big games. Louisville, Georgia Tech squaring off. That's going to be a fun one. UMass taking down UMass taking down New Mexico State. That was a big one as well. That was a pretty big shock as well. So maybe UMass won't be as bad this year. Who knows? Don Brown doing really good things. New Mexico State was, and thank you for the reminder, New Mexico State was really, really disappointing because this was a team that had a lot of momentum coming off a winning season, a bowl win, an experienced quarterback, like 16, 17 returning starters, and you're at home on national TV playing a UMass team that hadn't won a road game in 5, 6 years, something like that. I mean, it'd been some ridiculously long drought where UMass hadn't won a road game. And that's what you pull. That's what you pull for your home crowd. That's what you step up and do. I mean, it was really, really embarrassing. And I know New Mexico State had a handful of players out in that game as well. I'm aware of that. But that was a really bad look for Jerry Kill's squad. And New Mexico State might not be as good as we thought they'd be in their first year in the Conference USA. So something to watch out for there, no doubt. Very interesting. Want to address some of your comments first, and then we're going to open up our phone lines, get you guys to call in as many times as you want, as much as you want. We've got a long show here tonight. Really no limit. Typically go for about 2 hours, and that's what we would like to do. And again, just want to hype up everything you see at the bottom there. Expert picks. First picks are locked in tomorrow on our website and our Discord as well. If you haven't joined that, take advantage of that. Year-long subscriptions on the best picks in the country. We want you guys to take advantage of it, be a part of it. 100 signups this year equals a 24-hour live stream. So hook us up, guys. Come on. Sign up with us and we'll hook you up. Promise you that. Also send that stuff in the mailing address. Get some gear in the background here. Would love to represent your team. And then more than anything, just continue to like and subscribe. That's how we kind of reach more people. Had a great week last week in terms of sub counts. We'd love to continue on that. Again, want to answer a couple of your questions here in the chat first. Ryan McCormick, good to see you. Yeah, it has been a while. I feel like it's been forever since we've seen Ryan's name pop up. So good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Joker NYC is here. Good to see you. Clement, we appreciate you, of course. Bolt Up Morgan. Will Oregon make the college football playoff? I did not have them making the playoff, unfortunately. They're going to be in for a good year. My man Mitt T. I know. I figured that was you when he said, let's go Cyclones. Good to see you, man. It's been way too long. Happy to see you. Super pumped to see you. Glad you're here. I know it's been a hot minute. Jerry Turner, nice to see you, my man. Glad you're around. Thank you again for that Syracuse helmet. Ready to see the orange in action this weekend. Again, Mitch, good to see you. Paxton, good to see you. Texas Savage, new account. I like it. Texas has to win the Big 12. I wouldn't say has to, but probably will. Eugene Murphy, good to see you. It's been a while since I've seen your name. Nice to have you here tonight. DM, of course. Paxton again. James Jackson, Trey Drew. Yeah, man, I remember you. What's up? Good to have you here, man. Glad to see you're back. Woke is a joke. Joining late, but rather late on this show than any time to other. I like that. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Glad you're here. I fully agree with that. Better late than never. Better late than never. And we want you to be part of the stream, no doubt. Robert. When is North Carolina, South Carolina coming out? Tomorrow. Again, we post our week 0, week 1 prediction videos, and everybody goes, where are the big games? Like, y'all kind of know the drill as this goes, right? Like, when we put out our weekly predictions, when you see those things pop up, like week 1 predictions, week 2 predictions, whatever, we're talking about some of the bigger games of the week, no doubt. But typically they're games that might be flying under the radar. When we get a top 10 match, the rule basically is for this year, and let me know if y'all are against this and we can change it. But what we're going to do is every top 25 matchup, as in like ranked versus ranked, will be an individual video. So we can give you guys some deeper analysis on that specific game. We can talk more about that game. This week, obviously, there aren't that many. So we wanted to do individual videos for some of the games that, maybe weren't ranked versus ranked, but are still must see, such as North Carolina, South Carolina coming out tomorrow, such as today's video which was all about Florida and Utah. We've got Colorado and TCU coming out on Thursday. Clemson and Duke coming out on Friday. Obviously, LSU and Florida State, that prediction video, the game of the week, no doubt, that's coming out tomorrow night. So that's what we're going to do for the rest of the year. Starting next week, every top 25 ranked versus ranked matchup we're gonna put out individually, but then the under the radar games, the ones that are big, maybe don't have the two numbers beside them, will be in the week 2 prediction video. So that's kind of how we're going to do it. Hope you guys enjoy that or like that. If you're like, no, go back to the old way, then we might call an audible and go that way. So we obviously do want your input. Woke is a joke. What's the best way to get action if you're in Texas? Shoot me an email, my guy. Shoot me an email and let's talk on that. I assume you're referring to the expert pick. So shoot me an email, thegridironexpert@gmail.com. Send it over my way, and we'll talk and we'll figure something out for you for sure. Stone Thomas takes. Good to see you, my man. B Swan 88. Good to see you. Yeah, I know. It's been a while since we've done live streams. I know. We're going to be doing it every week, though, now. So we're excited. Jerry, congrats, man. Congrats. 40th birthday. Everybody, let's throw Jerry a happy birthday in the chat. Congrats, my man. Hope you let us know what you're going to see. Hope you guys celebrate big. 40 years young, my guy. 40 years young. Ain't old at all. Ain't old at all. We appreciate you and all the support for sure. For sure. All right. And Mike Myra, good to see you. Let's do this thing. How's that sound? Let's talk some football. We're going to answer some questions in the chat throughout the night, but let's go ahead and get some of your calls in tonight. Let's kick off the phone lines. Let's talk some week 1. Call in number 870-586-6624. Again, we'll try to keep things at roughly a 5-minute call tonight, give or take, so we can get to as many callers as we can. But we have the phone lines open for the rest of the night. And again, we're not going to disregard the chat at all. So let's do this. Let's get it going. Give us a call, 870-586-6624, and hear what you guys have to say. I will say, I think we'll kind of go in order right now. I think with Thursday night, again, we just mentioned the two biggest games of Florida, Utah, Minnesota, Nebraska. I see so many conflicting reports from you guys and from other analysts out there on who's going to take the wins on Thursday, right? Who's winning? Florida, Utah, and Minnesota, Nebraska. There's so many big storylines regarding both. The problem that I've got with this Florida, Utah game more than anything is obviously I hate this. I hate that we don't know the status of Cam Rising. I hate that we don't know anything about some key Utah players. Cam Rising might not be playing. Keithy might not be playing. We don't know. And Kyle Whittingham's like, I might not even tell you until like 10 minutes before the game. And obviously that's going to play a major role. I personally believe Utah wins the game regardless. I do believe that. And we put that out on our video today. I think whether Rising plays or anybody else plays, it's going to be a Utah victory for a lot of different reasons. One, obviously, is home field advantage. Utah's lost like 1 or 2 home games in the last 5 years. They do not lose at home. Do y'all also know this is like the first time since the 1990s that Florida has had a non-conference road game? Like neutral site, they've done that. But non-conference road game against like a Power 5 team. First time since like the 1990s. So this is very unfamiliar territory for the Gators. Playing high up in the mountains, in the elevation, that's going to play a role. And someone wants to talk about the line of scrimmage, right? Someone wants to talk about the line of scrimmage edge. I'm telling you right now that there's a clear and distinct edge when it comes to Utah with that line of scrimmage. Majorly. Florida does not own any edge on either side of the ball, and we'll touch more on that in a second. Let's get to our first caller. I think we got him on here. Let's see. All right, welcome to the Gridiron Expert. Who's with us? Hello?
Hello?
Hello, you're Gridiron Expert. Who's with us?
Hello?
Hello?
Hold on. Yeah, hi. Hello. I just want this is James, GT, whatever you want to call me. How are you doing?
Hey, James, doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm actually the one that sent you that Texas A&M helmet. I'm pretty sure I sent it last Wednesday or Thursday. I'm pretty sure, but I'm tracking it. It says it's in transit. So
okay.
I hope you get it. But so I just wanted to get that out of the way first, and I'm actually doing my own collection of the helmets. So I had an extra Texas A&M one, so I just thought I might as well give it to you.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I'll let you know I'm an LSU fan, and we're playing a massive game on Sunday night. And I'm excited for it. I'm confident. And I think that we're going to – I think it'll be a tight game, but I think we're going to pull it out at the end. And I'm pretty sure you're also picking LSU to win that game. What do you thought? How much do you think the Mason Smith suspension for that game? Like, I think that's a big loss for LSU. I think it's a big loss. He's a game wrecker, but I still think we can pull out the win without him.
Yeah, no, great point. First, JT, I appreciate the call, and I appreciate you sending that A&M helmet our way. I'm glad to hear that's still in transit. I'm glad to say they said it wasn't delivered and we didn't have it or anything. So I'm sure we'll get it later this week. So I do appreciate that. As for your question with Mason Smith at LSU, I do think it's a really big loss. Obviously, that LSU front seven, especially the defensive line, is going to be just phenomenal this year, especially when Smith is actually in action. And I'll tell you, I think it's kind of bogus that he's not playing in this game anyways. I think it's kind of another prime example of the NCAA is kind of picking and choosing who they want to punish, when they want to punish them. It's very, very inconsistent. And anybody that's watched our show knows we have some major gripes with the way the NCAA handles things. But I will say that while it's a big loss, we didn't see as much of Mason Smith last year anyways, as much as we wanted. And you've got guys like Greg Penn. You've got guys like Harold Perkins, who was phenomenal as a freshman last year. If anything, they're just going to have to step up a little bit more. But I believe they will. One of the interesting stats that I watched, JT, was the fact that last year, and I know it was last year, first game of the year with a new coach, everything like that, so you can't really base it too much. But LSU got no pressure on Jordan Travis. He had all day last year. They didn't have a single sack against him. I think LSU gave up 4. So that battle in the trenches is going to be really, really key. But LSU, obviously, on the defensive side of the ball has improved greatly. And I'll tell you one guy that I really think is someone that we're not talking nearly enough about is Omar Speights. Omar Speights at linebacker is going to be maybe the X factor on defense for LSU. A guy who was a 4-year starter at Oregon State, racked up over 300 tackles. He's going to be phenomenal all season long, but that could be the X factor in terms of LSU winning or losing this game.
Yeah, and I'm looking back to last year. Our starting linebackers last year against Florida State were Mike Jones and Greg Penn. This year they're going to be Perkins and Speights. So that's a big upgrade, and I definitely think that could be a difference in the game. And yes, Speights was a huge addition towards the portal, from the portal. But yeah, like you said, our offensive line did not play well. Overall, we just played terrible in that game last year. You just have to admit, and we still ended up getting lucky. We getting the ball back, scoring that touchdown, and then getting an extra point. Well, we did not play good in that game last year. And I just think there's no way, muffing punts, getting field goals blocked. I think that we're going to – there's no way we play that bad again. But Florida State didn't play that great of a game either. They also had some key errors. So I think it's going to be a much cleaner game this year. I think it's 2 great teams, 2 clear top 10 teams. And I think it's a 31-28 win for LSU. and that's a statement win for Kelly. And I think that I still think Florida State's going to have a great season. I think they're going to win the ACC. So, yeah, that's my prediction for that game. LSU's 2.5-point favorites. I had them winning by 3. So
I like it. So you got LSU eking out the cover. You got LSU. You got LSU. They're eking out the cover. You got LSU eking out the cover on Sunday.
Yeah, barely. Yeah,
barely. Yeah, by half a point. Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be a great game. It's gonna be a great game. Definitely the key marquee matchup of Week 1. But do I have time to give you some of my thoughts on some of the other games in Week 1? Thoughts on Week 0, or you got to move on?
We just had a caller that we missed, so we're going to go ahead and move on. But drop them in the chat, and we'll talk about them for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, appreciate you, JT. Thanks for the call, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, so that was our man JT. First call of the day. Appreciate you, my guy. Thank you for the A&M helmet again. We'll let you know as soon as we get that. And a resident LSU fan. I love it. We got some LSU gear behind us up there. Thought I had a pennant. Guess not. We got a helmet though, which is great. And JT's right. That is going to be a phenomenal matchup. The only top 10 matchup of the week. Trying to think. I think that's the only top 25 matchup. Period. If I'm not mistaken. We got robbed of a top 25 matchup. I believe South Carolina should have been a very low-end top 25 team to start the year. So we should have had one there against North Carolina. But, yeah, so we have a top 10 matchup as the only top 10 matchup, as the only top 25 matchup. Sunday night, the only game going on Sunday night. And I think JT's right. I think it will be the best game of Week 1 as a whole. So, JT, really appreciate you calling in, man. Did a phenomenal job. Great insight. So thank you very much. Whoever we missed just a second ago, try to give us a call back. Again, phone lines are going to be open all night long. So don't be afraid to give us a call and share your thoughts, share your opinions, your concerns, your advice, whatever you want to throw out there. We're an open line here. We'd love to talk to you. I like what Charter said here. I'll pull that up real quick. Talk about a charmed life. Florida not a road game out of conference. They go into the mountains in the middle of a hurricane. So that's a phenomenal point. They are dealing with a hurricane right now in Florida. It's I think upgraded to Category 2 is what I just saw. I think Florida was having to spend the night in where was it? Was it somewhere in Texas or something? They weren't getting to Utah until later tomorrow or maybe not even Thursday morning. It's one of the two. The hurricane definitely screwing up their travel plans in terms of getting out of the state, getting to play, and then possibly maybe even the return trip back to Gainesville after the game on Thursday night. So Florida definitely nothing to me seems to be going Florida's way prior to the game, right? We haven't played the game. The thing that could go their way could be the fact that Cam Rising might not be playing. That could be something that goes their way, but they're not used to playing legitimate non-conference games on the road. They're going to be in the mountains with the altitude. It's going to screw it up a little bit. You are dealing with a new quarterback in Graham Mertz, who really wasn't all that great. Wasn't all that great at Wisconsin, but maybe Graham Mertz lights it up. We've seen some great transfer quarterbacks kind of revive their careers at a new program. We've seen some great guys leave their respective team for whatever reason, go to a new school and play light years better than we ever thought they would. I think a prime example of that's Hendon Hooker. Look at Hendon Hooker at Virginia Tech. He was good at Virginia Tech, but then came to Tennessee and lit it up last year. I think that's a testament to obviously himself, but also the coaching staff. So maybe that's all Graham Mertz needed was a solid coaching staff and a solid system. But Florida still loses the majority of their pass catchers from last year. They have major questions up front on the offensive line. And that was kind of the other thing, right? That was kind of the other thing we talked about before we got our call from JT was the fact that there are people out there trying to make an argument that Florida's got a better offensive line and defensive line than Utah, and that's absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. Florida has major questions on the offensive line. They're facing one of the better defensive lines in the entire country with Utah. Both teams' front sevens on defense are going to be good, right? So I'm not going to dog that. I'm not going to dog that at all. Both front sevens are going to be really, really good. And I think Florida could maybe match Utah a little bit with that front seven. But I still give the edge to the Utes on the defensive line. Still like them better at the linebacking core. And then offensively, it's one of those things now that's the deciding factor for some. There's just so many unknowns. The unknown for Utah is obviously the status of two of their top players, but the unknown for Florida is so many key new pieces that they don't even know what to do with. So they've got a mix of both, kind of going against them. So that's why this game's so intriguing. And it's one of those things that kind of when we break down these games, it's like so-and-so has the edge here. One team has the edge here. Sometimes the tiebreaker could be the home field advantage. And Utah has one of the best home field advantages in the country out of any team out there. You wouldn't think so. But Kyle Whittingham has made that a place where dreams go to die. I mean, go look at USC last year. The game last year was a phenomenal game. Utah pulled off the win. Multiple times that Utah has defeated Oregon when Oregon was deep in playoff contention. They've got a lot of big-time games that have come to Rice-Eccles Stadium, and Utah wins those games big. Not saying they're going to win big over Florida, but I do think they beat Florida on Thursday, regardless of who's at quarterback, because that defense is going to play phenomenal, and that crowd's going to play a bigger role than people think. So very, very interesting concept to look out there. And we'll talk more on that game, I'm sure, as we go along, as we go out throughout the night. Again, call us. We had a caller that we just missed a few minutes ago, 870-586-6624. If we don't do that, we'll continue to take your questions in the chat, kind of bring them up, just like we did with Charters. He said he needs to spell better. I got what you meant. Stone Thomas says Utah's going to run for 6 yards per carry, whether Rising's there or not. And that's a possibility, too. Again, I mean, Utah's rushing defense was atrocious. I mean, Florida's rushing defense was atrocious last year. Does it improve? Yes. By a whole lot? I don't know. Utah rushed for over 220 yards in last year's meeting against the Gators. And that's another thing, too. We're gonna sit there and say, hey, last year Florida won in the swamp. Why can't they win in Utah? Well, you know why they won? They won because of a guy named Anthony Richardson, who was running all over Utah. Graham Mertz isn't going to do that. Montrell Johnson and Travis Etienne, or Trevor Etienne, aren't going to do that. So, I can't justify that right now. Robert thinks it's going to be a blowout. College Football Guru, our man JT, thinks it'll be a blowout if Rising plays, but if he doesn't, they still win. Charter, my guy. Hey. Welcome to the GE Nation, baby. Welcome to the GE Nation. We gotta embrace our flaws, my guy. We gotta embrace our mistakes. You should see my chicken scratch notes that I take for these videos. Like it's you think yours was bad? Dear God, mine is god awful. It's brutal. Who asked that question? Stone Thomas. Yes, we can talk about whatever college football topic we want. Yes, of course. That's the point of the call-in show. There's no agenda. I can throw that one up, Charter. Boom, there you go. GE Nation, baby. Subscribe to it, like it, become a part of it. Only way we continue to grow and build by you guys joining the GE Nation. Will Burrow, what do I think about Texas this year? I think that they are the best team in the Big 12 as of right now. Whether or not they live up to those expectations remains to be seen. We say this so many times every single season that Texas is so good and 4-star, 5-star talent. They're going to be great, and then they don't live up to expectations. So I think they're the best team in the Big 12. They are my pick right now to win the Big 12. But whether or not they can do that remains to be seen. I know there's some people that think Texas can make the college football playoff this year, a couple of national analysts out there. And I'm not going that far, but the talent is there for it. 10-2, Will, is what I have Texas going this year. 10-2. And I think the tone will be set. The tone will be set in that week 2 game against Alabama, obviously. If Texas beats Alabama in Tuscaloosa, watch out. The people screaming that Texas is back, oh my God, it'll be deafening for the rest of the year until Texas finally loses a game. If they lose, it's not a big deal, not the end of the world. They can actually still slip into the playoff if they lose to Bama and win out. But, it's going to be very, very telling. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. But they are my favorite. They are my pick to win the Big 12 right now. Too much talent, no doubt. But as Matthew Hazelhorst, good to see you, my guy, says, Texas should have won the Big 12 the last 4 years on paper. He's exactly right. On paper, Texas has had significantly more talent than the majority of the teams they have lost to the last 4 years. Something to be said, though, for five-star talent versus five-star culture, and I will forever harp on that. I will forever praise that. Five-star talent doesn't always mean good results. I will never budge on that. Yes, phone lines are open, of course. 870-586-6624. Nothing's off limits. Any topic can be discussed. We want to hear your thoughts, your, deep, dark secrets, whatever you want to throw at us. We're going to talk about them. Hit us up. Give us your predictions. Give us your hot takes. We'll debate you. We'll talk about them. Let's go. Let's get them. GT, not talking about the Texas Kool-Aid. College football guru. Go Tigers. Go for Tigers. I like that. Very well played. Well played. Like it. Josh French, good to see you. I think it's been a minute. Since we've seen you on the stream. So thoughts on Arkansas this year? Well, we've got a Razorback helmet, like right over there. And Josh, we're getting a call right now. Mute that. We're getting a call, but I do want to talk about that. Stick around. We'll talk on Arkansas right after this call. So I lose like caller ID now. I don't get to see where people are from anymore. So who's with us on the Gridiron Expert? Hello, can you hear us? I think we're having a hard time hearing you, my guy.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you a little bit better. Who's with us? Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? We're doing well. We're still having a little trouble hearing you. Do you have it on? Are you on speaker? Or is it up to your ear? What are we looking at here?
No, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, there we go. 10 times better.
All right, perfect.
All right. So what's going on today, man?
Not much, man. How do you think the Gophers are going to be this year?
Great question. I guess we'll find out on Thursday, right? We'll find out kind of what this team's all about. But, I think Minnesota, if you're looking for a dark horse team in the Big Ten West, I think this could be it. And I feel like we say it almost every year, but this is a really dangerous team that people aren't talking nearly enough about. And I actually think that could be on display on Thursday night against Nebraska. Ethan Kaliak-Manis has the phenomenal nickname of the Greek Gunslinger. I think this is going to be a team that actually passes the ball a lot more effectively. Sean Tyler transfers in from Western Michigan to replace Mo Ibrahim, who Sean Tyler has rushed over 1,000 yards each of the last 2 years at Western Michigan. So the run game isn't going to take a step back. They've got a handful of their top pass catchers and a defense that ranked 4th in the country last year and returns like 7 starters. So I really like Minnesota this year.
What losses do you have them? Do you have them losing to UNC?
I've got them. Yes, I've got them losing. I've got them beating Nebraska. I think I've got Minnesota starting 2-0, losing to UNC. I think ultimately finishing. I think I've got them finishing the year 8-4. I think is the final record.
Okay, that's not bad. Not bad at all.
It's one of those things where the Big Ten West is wide open again. Wisconsin's legit, Iowa's legit, Minnesota's in there. You don't know what to expect out of Nebraska. Don't know what to expect out of Illinois after a solid year last year. Purdue won't be much of a threat. Northwestern won't be much of a threat. But Minnesota has a chance. They're 1 or 2 upsets away from contending for a Big Ten West crown.
For sure. Do you think they could have a 2019 repeat?
I think that's, let me pull up their schedule for you real quick. I don't know if I can see them doing that well. 2019 repeat's going to have them at 11 wins. 10 in the regular season, 11 plus the bowl. And as fun as that year was to watch for Minnesota, a lot of things went right for them that year. Favorable schedule, got Penn State at home that year, which was huge for them. pulling up their schedule right now to look into it. Yeah, honestly, man, I'm telling you right now, there's a good possibility they start 4-1. I think anything less than 4-1 or 5-0 for Minnesota would be viewed as a disappointment because pretty good non-conference slate.
They got Eastern Michigan in there, and Louisiana, so those should be wins for sure.
Yeah, and Northwestern should be a pretty easy win as well with everything they've got going on in their program. So your two toughest games in your first 5 weeks are Nebraska on Thursday and then North Carolina in week 3. And the beauty of this too is if somehow Minnesota finds a way to be 5-0, you're going to have yourselves probably a top 20 showdown with Michigan in town. And that's where you get your 2019 vibes is, you go back to that Penn State game back in 2019 when Penn State was like 4th in the country and Minnesota pulled off the upset. That's where you could start dreaming of 2019 vibes. If Minnesota's 4-1, 5-0, hosting a top 25 game against Michigan, if they somehow found a way to upset Michigan, which that defense could shut down that offense, Michigan's offense, then you start dreaming a little bit.
No, for sure. What do you think about Dion in Colorado? How do you think they'll do? I know they have a pretty tough schedule with TCU and they got Nebraska too, but how do you think they'll do this year?
Colorado could be facing a high school schedule and they'd still fail, if I'm being honest with you. It doesn't matter. This is going to be a rough year for Colorado. I'm not buying into the Colorado hype. I'm not buying into what Dion's selling yet. I think he can build them. I really do. I think he can build Colorado up into something special with the way he's recruiting and bringing in transfers. Give it some time, and I think he'll make him a force to be reckoned with, especially now that the Pac-12 is going to be gone and they're going to be moving to the Big 12 starting next year. But, I mean, brutal schedule, as you mentioned, opening up against TCU and Nebraska, and then obviously playing in the Pac-12. They're not beating many Pac-12 teams. They can't hang with UCLA, Oregon State, Utah, USC, and Oregon. You just can't do that. They'll be lucky if they can snag a couple of wins there against some weaker opponents like a Stanford, Arizona State, guys like that. But it's one of those things. It's one of those things where the talent for Colorado is there because like individual talent is there, but coming together as a team and gelling enough where they could, make a bowl game, be competitive, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I see. No, that's valid.
And it's an unfortunate thing. I love the storyline, but it's just not in the cards.
You think Tulane can have any type of the same success as they had last year? I know they start with Ole Miss. They play Ole Miss pretty early in the year.
Yeah, you'll know what Tulane's capable of after the first 2 weeks because their first game this Saturday is against a good South Alabama team that very well could beat them. If Tulane is lucky enough to escape that, then they'll play Ole Miss in a top 25 showdown in week 2. If Tulane wins that, then yeah, I think they have a shot to actually maybe even go undefeated and make another New Year's Six bowl game. But even 1-1 for Tulane wouldn't ruin their season. But if they start 0-2, which is very possible, or even if they go 1-1 but look really bad in those couple games, it could be a longer year for Tulane. I think this is still at least a 9-win team. Too much talent for them to completely fall off, but I don't see them replicating a 12-win season like they did last year. But again, you'll know within the first 2 weeks if Tulane can continue that Cinderella run or if it was just kind of like a one-hit wonder type of deal.
Yeah, for sure. Only other thing I was wondering, do you have any teams you think are going to get upset by any FCS schools this year?
By any FCS schools?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's tough. I know. Actually, yeah, the first one I can think off the top of my head as a possibility. I don't think we predicted it that it would happen, but I would not be shocked. I think it's in week 3. Sacramento State plays Stanford, and that is a legitimate possibility. Stanford has no talent coming back. They're dealing with a new coach, and the coach, his name is Troy Taylor, will be playing against his former school. Troy Taylor left Sacramento State to go to Stanford, and I know that Sacramento State would love nothing more than to beat their former coach. So I would say that's probably my number one pick for an FCS over FBS upset.
Yeah, no, that's definitely – they've been pretty good the last couple of years.
Yeah, and they have. They have definitely been very – yeah, Troy Taylor built them up from a very, very poor program, made them into a legitimate contender in the playoffs of the FCS, and then it'll be kind of curious to see what they can do to keep up the success. Most of the guys that are there were his guys, so I know they'd love to take him down at Stanford. All right. Well, I think that covered all your stuff. Stick around the chat a little bit. Hook us up with some more questions, but we appreciate the call, my man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for talking to you.
Absolutely. You too. Thanks for the call. All right. Love it. Great questions. That's what we're talking about. Nothing's off limits here. Kind of hit everything. Yeah, great discussion. Really appreciate that call. I love the question too about the FCS over FBS upsets. That's a legitimate possibility. I like that one with Stanford. I like Stanford. I like William and Mary over Virginia, possibly. It's a legitimate possibility, so watch out for that. I think we're getting a call from our guy, Mitch. Let's get him on the phone. All right. Mitch, is this you?
Yes, sir, it is.
Hey, what's happening, Mitch? How you doing, man?
Not much, just enjoying life.
Well, that's what we like to hear. It's all you can do. So UA, all right, you got to correct me. It's been too long. Are you finally in college, or is this the last year?
Nah, last year of high school.
So, okay, that's what I thought. I knew you were nearing the end. So have we picked a destination?
Yeah, I'm thinking about heading up north to Brookings, South Dakota.
Really?
Dakota State.
Gonna go be a jackrabbit?
Oh yeah.
All right. I like it. What was the draw? Why there?
It's a nice campus and get in-state tuition there too.
Well, there you go. That's the way to do it right there. College is way too expensive, man.
Yeah, it is.
It's ridiculous. I feel that. Well, man, it's great to hear from you. I'm glad you're back. I know it's been a little too long. So what we got going today? We talking Iowa State, or we talking something else?
Yeah, we're talking about the gambling BS all around Iowa. It's just hit so many athletes and kind of messed up a lot of careers.
It's kind of destroyed everything. It's you know, it's a bad. I don't know, man. I get where the fact they were betting on their own game. I in my opinion, there is nothing wrong in my eyes of betting on college football, any sport that you're in, as long as you're not participating in the game. I have no issue with that. You know, that's just my personal take. If you're a player for Iowa State and you're betting on a game in the SEC, I don't have an issue with that. But obviously that was not the case with these Iowa State players, with these Iowa players. And it has things have spiraled out of control quickly in Ames.
Yeah, it has. It's kind of messed up our season. You know, like it took out 7 starters from our team, so kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's this was what felt like a bounce back year. We knew Iowa State was going to take a step back last year. I don't think anybody was surprised by that, but this was the year that I felt they were going to really not take that step forward, but like get back to a bowl game or something. I mean, Hunter Deckers wasn't bad last year. Brock wasn't bad. The defense was phenomenal. It was extremely underrated for a team that had a losing record, and yet now here we are, taking away Deckers, taking away Brock, taking away a handful of defensive guys as well, and now you're left with a pretty bare cupboard like weeks before the season started. I think that's the other thing too. It's also the timing of this that kind of screws Iowa State as well.
Yeah, it has. Just kind of sucks now that because I was looking forward. I thought we were going to make a bowl game, but now I don't really think so. But hopefully at least be somewhat competitive.
I think that is a given. I mean, Matt Campbell has always gotten the most out of his teams, regardless of where he's been, and he's a heck of a motivator. He's a very passionate guy. I think with him at the helm, he's going to be just fine in terms of, you know, keeping Iowa State competitive. But, I mean, when you look at the schedule, Mitch, I mean, I know there are some tough games. I mean, those first couple of weeks are not going to be easy. I mean, even Ohio is no longer, I feel like, a given win. with as good as the Bobcats are expected to be. Iowa, not a given win by any means. So there's definitely, I think, some concerns in those first few weeks. And it's like Iowa State's got to find a way to get off to a semi-decent start before they head into conference play, because they do have a relatively tough conference schedule. I mean, and with what this comes down to now is that, yes, I know y'all had some guys waiting in the wings that were ready to step up. It might not be as bad as people think, but it's still lack of experience against a Big 12 that really, for the most part, the Big 12, with the exception of one or two schools, is a really deep and experienced conference this year.
Yeah, it is. Got Texas and obviously Oklahoma and new schools, which I don't think the new schools are pretty good this year. I mean, Cincinnati, they're going to be hot garbage. But I think UCF might be decent.
Yeah, I think UCF is going to be. I mean, UCF to me is going to be the best of the newcomers out of the four new teams entering the Big 12. UCF will be the best. And not only are they the best talent wise, but they are in the best position to succeed. I think they've got arguably the best coach of the newcomers in Malzahn. They've got arguably the best quarterback and John Rice Plumlee. So the style fits the conference well. So I think if you're picking a team to be the best out of the new guys, it's going to be UCF for sure.
No, I didn't even know that John Rice Plumlee is still in college. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. He's a two-way athlete. Plays baseball and football, and is somehow still with UCF. I mean, it feels like it was like 20 years ago when he was over at Ole Miss.
Yeah, I remember. It was like the meme of the Ole Miss Rebels back then, with their old coach.
With old Matt Luke.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that feels like forever ago, man. That was only like 2018, 2019. It's crazy how like. And that's the crazy thing. That COVID year threw everybody off, right? You get that COVID year in there, and we've got guys that have been in college for 7 or 8 years now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I also have to ask you, out of all the new teams coming in next year, do you think Utah will just take over the Big 12 for football?
No, I don't think they'll take over. I really don't. I think they will obviously contend for a conference title right away. But we also have to remember, I mean, Utah has been a perennial power under Whittingham for as long as we can remember, but they're going to lose a lot of key talent this year. This is the last year of like Utah's reign in the Pac-12. They would lose Rising. They'll lose a handful of defensive starters. So it would be a minor rebuilding year. But no, I mean, I think even with the departure of Texas and Oklahoma, I think everybody's so focused on these new guys coming in. We're so focused on Utah and Colorado and the Arizona schools and guys like that. I mean, Baylor's going to contend. TCU will still contend. Texas Tech is going to be great this year, and if they have another big year, they'll be contending. Like, this is Utah is going to be contending for a conference title immediately, but I don't think they're just going to go in there and dominate.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and I think it's going to be fun, just as an Iowa State fan, to have some new rivals out west.
Oh, no doubt. No, that's the only positive coming from this giant conference realignment and the expansion. I'm not really that big of a fan of it, but we are going to get some fantastic matchups out of it, and that is one plus. We're going to get some matchups that typically we would never see unless maybe it was in a bowl game. So it is going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I also think it's exciting to have the two Utah schools in one conference, because I know they got a big rivalry over there.
Yeah, it's about time that we get the Holy War as that's a game that should be played annually, and it's not for some reason. So that better happen in the Big 12, and the stakes will be even higher, right? Like, it's always one of the biggest rivalries when they face off against each other, but the incentive is just bragging rights. Now it's a conference game, which just makes it even bigger and better. So the Holy War is going to be great.
I also have to ask, do you think BYU will be decent, or just like average BYU, like win 7-8 games a year?
Like on a regular basis, or just this year?
Just this year.
This year they are probably a fringe bowl team. Like, the range for them is probably 5 to 7 wins. I think we've got them at 6-6 is what we predicted a little over a month ago. what people I think are going to struggle to realize, and we kind of downplay it, going from playing a handful of Power 5 teams in a given year, also a handful of teams spaced out across the course of the year, is significantly different than playing them every single week, and that's what BYU is going to face. I mean, they play Arkansas in week 3, and then right after that start getting into conference play the rest of the year. And when you play 10 straight, or I guess it would be like 8 straight conference games against Power 5 opponents, I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's the lowest of the low in the Big 12 or one of the best. It's going to be significantly harder than playing Arkansas one week or Texas one week, and the next week you get to play like Bowling Green. Like they're not going to have that luxury anymore.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there.
So it's going to be a fun year, man. The Big 12 is going to be really interesting for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, we've got the intrigue at Iowa State with everything that's going on there. Can Texas Tech live up to the hype and be the real deal? Will Baylor bounce back after a disappointing year? Will Texas and Oklahoma meet in the championship game like many are projecting in their final year in the conference? Like, I mean, if you're looking for with everything that's happening with this conference expansion, I think there has been more light shed on the Pac-12 and Big 12, and more emphasis going to be put on these two conferences in 2023, just because we know this is the last somewhat sense of normalcy we're going to have within college football, and especially within those two conferences. Because next year everything changes, and I mean, if you want my honest opinion, next year everything goes to hell. If you want my honest opinion.
Yeah, just college sports are kind of just falling off a little bit with all this realignment stuff. Yep.
It's a money game, man. It's a money game for the conferences. It's a money game for the NCAA. It's a money game for the players now, and that has drastically changed the landscape as we know it. And I would not personally say that's for the better.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been good talking to you, man.
Hey, for sure, man. It's great reaching out. Glad to talk to you. Shoot me a message on Twitter. We'll have to talk more this season for sure.
Yeah, we will. I'll hit you up. All right. Have a good night, man.
All right, man. You too. Thanks for the call, Mitch. All right, that's our guy, Mitch. Resident college football, resident Iowa State fan. Gonna be a jackrabbit. So I'm gonna have to get some South Dakota State gear now, because I've got North Dakota State down below. I think it's right behind us. Yeah, right here in the corner. We've got some South Dakota State gear, which is awesome. Or North Dakota State gear. We're gonna get some South Dakota State, two teams that could potentially meet in the SCS National Championship, as we've seen last couple of years recently. So that's going to be fun. It's exciting stuff. Congrats, Mitch, for going there, branching out. I love it. Get another call. Our man, Josh French, we're going to talk Arkansas as soon as we're off this call. We'll make a point to stop the calls for a second so we can talk Arkansas as promised. But let's get this call on. Let's see if we can pull him up here. All right. Who is with us on the Gridiron Expert?
Hey, it's Danny, South Texas.
Hey, what's up, South Tex? What's up, Danny? How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. Really excited for the season. Week 0 was okay, but week 1 I'm really excited for. I just had curious what you think about Chip Kelly going with 3 quarterbacks. I definitely think it's an interesting decision. He even said himself he hadn't done it before. So it looks like he's starting Garbers, but both Moore and Schlee are also going to get some plays. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I was actually really surprised when I got the alert. I guess it was yesterday, 2 days ago, when he announced that Garbers was going to get the start. I really kind of thought that Moore was going to get the edge, I'm being honest with you. I thought, Dante was going to end up fitting the scheme a little bit better, was kind of the guy that Chip Kelly wanted to run the offense. So, and that could still be the case here in a few weeks if he's still kind of letting the quarterback battle work itself out. But I didn't expect Garbers, even though he's the most experienced with the program, didn't expect him to get that edge. But it's I don't want to say a risky move. They should beat Coastal Carolina. Obviously, that's a team that you can't afford to overlook, especially with Grayson McCall and a lot of offensive starters coming back. But I can't remember if they play the next week. But the next week, I think they got like a cupcake team, so it should be a little bit easier for UCLA, and it's a good opportunity for them to keep working through that quarterback battle. So It was a gutsy move. Yes. Well, San Diego State. Yeah, they'll be fine. I think it's not going to be Garber's all year long. I'll just say that. I think Garber's got the nod now. They're going to play all three for a little while. Could see a situation this year, kind of like what Michigan did a few years ago, where for the first 3 games, it was the battle between J.J. McCarthy and Cade McNamara, and they did that for the first 3 games. It was like someone gets to start here, someone gets to start the next game, and then we decide who will be the starter going forward in game 3. And that very well could be what happens with UCLA. So it's not the end of the world, not the craziest decision in the world, but was surprising.
Yeah, and the thing is, I also thought of the Michigan situation from last year. The only reason I feel like that could be an issue is our first conference game, I believe, is at Utah, right? So that's a tough situation if you have a guy who's been not playing full snaps and then suddenly is thrown in, at Salt Lake City. So I also was surprised that we didn't start Dante Moore. I know me and a lot of other fans wanted to see him, but I'm still hoping that, he'll become the starter before then. But the main thing, I think regardless, even if Garbers is the starter, should have a pretty good season. We did lose a lot of guys. DTR, by the way, he's tearing it up with the Browns. I'm really loving how he's been playing. But
yeah, for sure.
We got J. Michael Sturdivant in at wide receiver, Steele in at running back. So I think our offense should be fine. But what I'm worried is, did our secondary improve? Because that was a big problem last year. We were giving up a lot of big plays.
Yeah, that's kind of been the biggest thing as a whole, right? It's just defense as a whole, but especially the secondary. Because the front seven, the defensive line wasn't all that bad, but that is a storyline I'm watching out for. The 2 biggest things I was watching out for UCLA entering the year was the quarterback battle, who replaces DTR, who, like you said, I've been really enjoyed watching him with Cleveland. He's done, I think, better than anybody expected him to. So that's been good to see. But it was the quarterback battle, and then obviously the back seven, more specifically the secondary. The beauty of this for UCLA is they have about 3 weeks. The first 3 games, they can work out any issues in the secondary, because Coastal Carolina, again, isn't easy. McCall could come out there and torch them, but with a new coach, new schemes, that offense isn't going to be as good as people think. And then the next week, you got San Diego State. They're not going to light it up through the air. Not a chance. And then the next week, you got NC Central, who, they're going to crush them pretty easily. So you've got 3 weeks, really. No game that you can overlook by any means. But you got 3 weeks to work out your quarterback situation and your secondary before you really enter conference play. And as you mentioned, they open up against Utah in Salt Lake City. And that will determine, I think that will kind of set the tone. Even if UCLA loses that game, but plays Utah very close, that's going to be a really encouraging sign of things to come the rest of the year.
Right, yeah. I think that could be a big game where we can win again and get back into the national conversation. I feel like this is another year where we've been disrespected going into the season, not ranked. And last year we were, I would say, disrespected until we beat Utah. Then we started getting some hype until we lost to Oregon the next week. But I think this year we're going to be a lot better than a lot of people think. I also was curious because our QB situation is kind of similar to Alabama. So I was just wondering what you're thinking about that. I know before the season you were predicting Buckner be the starter, but right now I'm hearing a lot of people say it's going to be Milroe. So do you have has your opinion changed on that? Do you think Buckner's still going to start?
No, it has changed. I think it is going to be Milroe. I think the Buckner addition made sense at the time. I mean, when they hired Tommy Reeves to come in as offensive coordinator and then Buckner joined late, it was like, it was one of those things that when it happened, it was like, okay, clearly Nick Saban and his offensive staff don't feel good about Ty Simpson or Jalen Milroe. We need someone in here that could either challenge them or that we feel a lot better about. Why not bring in the guy that was working with Tommy Reeves these last few years at Notre Dame, which was Tyler Buckner? That's why it made sense. But as time has gone on, Buckner clearly has not separated himself, and clearly the connection that he had with Reeves and the relationship wasn't enough for him to separate with the job. And I do think, at least for week 1, that the guy that takes the first snap for Alabama is going to be Jalen Milroe. And I think ultimately he's going to be the guy that finishes the year as well. He's got some dangerous dual threat capabilities, more so than Ty Simpson, but maybe not nearly as much as Tyler Buckner, kind of in the middle there. He really just had to work on his accuracy And that's something that I feel like, from what I've been seeing and reading and talking to some analysts over in Alabama about, he has done. So I think right now he's the starter, even though Nick Saban said, kind of similar with UCLA and some other quarterback positions or quarterback battles, saying, hey, we're going to go out there. We're probably going to play all three guys in week 1 against Middle Tennessee. And the battle is going to be ongoing entering week 2, which is, if you're an Alabama fan, not encouraging, considering week 2 you play Texas. But I do think Jalen Milroe ultimately wins that job and holds on to it for the rest of the year.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, anyway, thank you for taking my call. I'm very excited for the season. Can't wait to be at the Rose Bowl this Saturday. And let's go Bruins.
Yes, sir. Go Bruins. Hey, appreciate you, Danny. Thanks for the call, man.
All right. Have a good one.
You too, man. I love it. That's our man, South Tex. Man, Danny, he was the one that sent us the UCLA, right? You can see it. Get the bear right there. Slide over for you. It kind of gets blocked sometimes with a chair. We're going to have to do some restructuring. But he sent us that awesome UCLA pennant, vintage UCLA pennant. And look, all I'm saying is if I was getting to go to the Rose Bowl, which is high up on my college football bucket list in terms of stadiums to visit, if I was getting to go to that for every single one of my team's home games, I'd be there. I know Danny is. He gets to go to all of them, and I'm extremely jealous. I don't even care who they're playing, right? I'd be there regardless of who my team was facing. So that is pretty awesome. Let's get college football guy. Quick call here, and then we'll focus on Arkansas.
Call from.
I think we got him in. All right, is this college football guy?
It is indeed. How you doing, Mr. Alex?
Hey, we're doing good, man. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm just excited. The season is only 3 days away now. Man, it feels like it's been forever, but it's finally back. It's finally here. Like I said before, it's like Christmas week right now.
You're exactly right, man. I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm giddy the whole time, and once Thursday night gets here, it's all is going to be right in the world, you know.
I know. It's all the fun in the off-season, chatting, predicting, and everything. It's time to put that all aside and actually see who's right on the field and everything. It's time to play it all on the field now.
That's it. That's why you got to play the games, baby. That's what it's all about.
That's right. Well, first off, congratulations on your engagement and everything. Happy for you. You got a date set for the wedding?
Yes, sir. It's not till next year, which is good, but it's towards the end of college football season. I couldn't win the battle in terms of avoiding it in the fall, so it's going to be late November of next year.
Okay, I got you. Is she a college football now?
She's slowly being converted. I don't really think she has much of a choice.
Well, hey, she's coming. Once you fall in love with the sport, it's hard to fall in love with it.
You're exactly right. That's my problem. There are some days, man, where I'll sit around and I'll say, sometimes I wish I didn't love college football as much as I did because it's such an obsession. But then I quickly talked myself out of that because I couldn't imagine life without it, you know?
Exactly. Well, enough talking personal. Let's talk about some football. There's a lot you and I were to talk about and such. So I did come in late, came in late a little bit. So what was your national championship prediction? I missed it at the very top of the show. They announced that.
Yeah, no, national championship prediction is Georgia versus Michigan. So we have facing off in that game, and we're going to be picking Michigan to win the Natty this year.
You think Michigan is going to get that passing game going to follow Georgia?
I do. I think there's a lot of unknowns right now on Georgia's side of the ball. If you're comparing the two teams right now, Georgia's great. They're phenomenal. They're good. They're going to be in the playoff. I feel confident about that. But Michigan doesn't really have any major unknowns going into this season. They've got a solid quarterback in McCarthy. Georgia doesn't have that. We don't know how Carson Beck's going to play. Michigan has by far the best running back room in the nation with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. The defense is going to be phenomenal, arguably better than they were last year. So from top to bottom, Michigan is very, very solid. And Michigan's also in a position where they could even lose to maybe Penn State later in November, still win the Big Ten championship, or even get in without playing for the title, kind of like Ohio State did. And I think regardless, Michigan finds a way to play for that national title and finally gets the job done.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, I have no disagreements. I think Michigan has every right. But in my eyes, the only way I can see Michigan winning is if they got to get the passing game going this season. I mean, they got the return of QB. If one of the wide receivers can step up, I mean, I think that's the only thing that's missing. I mean, the only way you can beat Georgia is to have that elite wide receiver. I mean, that's how Ohio State did. That's how Alabama did back in 2021. Not really elite wide receiver, just a couple two good wide receivers. Maybe if they somehow make up the running back the ball, because they can just be just as dynamic as well. But they have got to get the passing game going a little bit in order to beat Georgia, because nobody's running the ball in Georgia. You're not going to know that. Even as great as an O-line they have and two great running backs, it's going to be hard running the ball in Georgia because they're just a lot more talented. And nobody runs the ball in Georgia. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. They've got to get the passing game going. And if Michigan can get that passing game going, I think they have a 100% chance to win the national championship. But in my eyes right now, until I see that, I just can't find no reason to pick against Georgia. I know Carson back, there's some question mark right there. And you got Michael as well. So you got new offensive coordinator. You got to take that into consideration. But I know Michael has got good, has done success in the past with it. I've heard some good reports out of Georgia that Carson Beck is looking good as well. And it's just my gut feeling. I think Georgia offense is going to be fun. That's the thing. But like I said, if Michigan gets that passing game going, there's no reason why I can't beat Georgia. Now, of course, can run the ball everywhere else on the other team and still win every game because they're more physical than everybody else, maybe outside a couple like Georgia. Okay, but until I see the passing game going, I just can't pick against Georgia. I'll tell you who my top four are. My top four is Georgia, Michigan, 1 Georgia, 2 and 3 Washington. I think Washington would beat USC in a rematch just because I think Washington has a better defense, and after what I saw from USC last Saturday against San Jose State, it gives me more unbelief he's going to be able to be a good at least twice. Look what happened against Utah last year. They were to beat Utah twice to beat them down. That's why I'm going with Washington. I think they may not have the defense, but they're an underrated, not talked about a lot defense. Plus, their offense is just as good to keep up in the shootout. I'm not saying they're as good as USC's offense, but Washington definitely has the offense to keep up if it gets into a shootout. And number 4, I think I got Penn State. I think Penn State's going to be in a similar situation with Ohio State, where Ohio State flips from there. I think Texas wins the Big Ten, so I think they'll have 2 losses. I think it'll be Clemson versus Florida State. I think out of the ACC, I don't think anybody's coming out of there without 2 losses, even as good as Florida State and Clemson may be. I just can't see one of those 2 teams coming out without 2 losses in that conference. So I think Penn State flips in there. And then you got LSU as well, but I think LSU loses somewhere in the regular season and loses to Georgia in the SEC championship as well. So that's what I thought. I also got Georgia and Michigan in the national championship, but I have Georgia, though, winning it as a 3-seed. But again, if Michigan gets that a passing attack going, there's no reason why they can't win it. Like you said, they have so much return production. I mean, where's the weakness on this team besides maybe the wide receivers? And that's really the thing that's been kind of holding them back really for the past couple of years is they haven't had an elite wide receiver room. I mean, I've been reading a couple of scouting reports, and there's some guys that's stepping up. And obviously Jim Harbaugh and the staff know that. But thinking if one of those wide receivers can step up, then Michigan definitely has a shot. Another team I will throw in there, I think that has a very good possibility, I don't think a lot of people have talked about, is LSU. Like you talk, LSU's defense is going to be nasty. Absolutely nasty. And every single 3 pieces on that offense returning. If there's a team that can beat Georgia this year in the SEC, it's LSU. LSU's got the wide receivers. They're not as talented, but they're just as physical on both sides of the ball. I like this LSU team. I think they have a very good possibility to win the championship. So if I had to throw a major dark horse, I'd probably have to throw LSU in there as well. My off-season predictions and everything. What do you think about that?
All right. Hey, what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm gonna let you go so we can get the phone lines back open. But I'm gonna address this all right now as soon as we let you go. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sorry to take up so long. It's off to you, man. Looking forward to some football. Can't wait till next week after Steve Coin.
Yes, sir, man. No worries at all. We appreciate the call. We'll definitely be talking throughout this week and next week as well. Absolutely.
All right, take care, Chris. All right, take care, GEC, buddy.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Thank you. All right, that was our man, college football guy. Great name for a guy that knows his stuff. And I'm gonna address his playoff predictions right now in his talk, and then we're gonna go to Josh's question, and then we'll hold off on the calls a little bit so we can get to the chat, catch up there a little bit. But I like his picks, right? I love hearing people's playoff picks and how diverse they are, right? You know, and this year I think it does have an opportunity to be a little bit different than we've seen in years past. You know, Alabama is down this year. Clemson maybe not in the mix as much as people want them to be, or as they've been in years past. The Big Ten very wide open with Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State, all legitimate contenders. The Pac-12 wide open, Oregon, USC, Washington, all legitimate contenders. There are opportunities for these teams in the SEC, obviously, Georgia, LSU, Alabama, legitimate contenders. So there's opportunities for a lot of these teams to make a run. And what college football guy just came out and said, he goes, I got Georgia at 1, Michigan at 2, Washington at 3, and Penn State at 4. And I like that. That's a very diverse playoff there. So Georgia, Penn State, Michigan, Washington. Great game at the 2-3 seed, right? I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Michigan and Washington. That offensive Washington against Michigan's defense would make for a fantastic semifinal. And I think I'd honestly probably rather see Washington in there than USC, if I'm being quite honest with you. I'd rather see Washington get back in there. The balance they have, at least Washington knows how to play defense. You know, Washington has an offense. Washington is maybe a little bit better, right? They've got they got an offense that can hang with USC, not nearly as good as USC, but they can hang with them. And then the defense that's significantly better than USC's. And so they have a legitimate chance to slip into that Final Four. So I like the playoff picks there. He still likes Georgia to get the win there. And Michigan beats Washington. Georgia plays Michigan, but he still likes Georgia to get their third straight national title. Dark horse, he says, LSU. And we talked about LSU a little bit earlier today when our college football guru called in, when JT called in and had some great college. Yeah. You know, I think the defense, as he said, is salty. It is good. It is phenomenal and has an opportunity to dominate every team they play this year. That's how good this team is. And he's got a good point. I mean, the offense is loaded. Jaden Daniels returns. That was a receiver return. Logan Diggs transfers in from Notre Dame. Everything's there for LSU to make their run this year. And that season for LSU ultimately comes down to 2 games. It comes down to the season opener on Sunday against Florida State and the road game at Alabama. LSU, you're in good shape for the playoff and have a very good chance to slip in if you can just split them. If you can just split them. And honestly, if you're LSU, you would rather lose to Florida State than to Alabama for multiple different reasons. It's better to always better to lose early than to lose late. And Alabama, it's a conference game. Ultimately, you want your shot at an SEC championship more so than you want to win both. But if you're an LSU fan, if you had to choose a game to lose, I would choose to lose Florida State rather than Alabama. You'll be just fine. Have a shot to slip into that college football playoff. And they have the pieces to do it. Keep in mind, this was a team that last year, despite 2 losses, had they defeated Texas A&M, would have gone into the college football playoff with the possibility of saying, hey, if they upset Georgia, LSU goes to the play. That was a possibility, right? Even though they had 2 losses, LSU would have had a very intriguing case for them to make the college football playoff as a 2-loss team if they had defeated A&M and then defeated Georgia. They didn't. Should have, would have, could have, but it could have happened. They were on the verge last year. This could be the year they break through. Only year 2 also under Brian Kelly. That's what's crazy about it. All right. Great comment. Great question as well. Thank you, college football guy, for the call. Really, I thank you. All right, let's go. Have I covered Arkansas yet? I'm sorry for the delay. No, I haven't. So, Mr. Bloodline, we're talking Arkansas. And where was our man Josh? I know he commented like not too long ago. We're getting to him. I need to pull up his thing. His question. He's a Hog fan. Where was it? Thoughts on Arkansas. Josh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry it took me so long. Thank you for being here. And Mr. Bloodline, thank you for being here. Arkansas is, I'll put it this way. The pieces are there for Arkansas. They are there. Like, Arkansas has got everything they need Hey, what's up, Mark, by the way? Good to see you, Mark. Arkansas's got everything they need to have a big breakout year. Like, they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I'm not even just going to say SEC. KJ Jefferson is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Rocket Sanders is one of the best running backs in the country. Arkansas's running back room as a whole with Rocket Sanders and A.J. Green and Rashad Zabinion. I mean, I think people are so focused on just Rocket, they don't realize the guys that are behind him and how good that running back room is. Arkansas's concern, I think, offensively is the wide receiver core. A lot of questions there. But you got Andrew Armstrong, you got Isaiah Satania, or you got Isaac Tesla. You've got guys that are unproven but are really, really good. If that's I think they'll be fine there. The defense, new defensive coordinator, completely new schemes, more aggressive. I think Arkansas last year had an opportunity. And Dominic Johnson, thank you, Mr. Bloodline. Totally forgot. Great point. Arkansas, I have a lot of points on them. I'm going to try to find the best way to structure them. Last year should have been a big year for them. They were not mentally tough. Arkansas' season ended when KJ Jefferson fumbled at the goal line. And that's plain and simple. Agree with it if you want, disagree with it if you want, but you cannot tell me that Arkansas team played with the same fire and the passion and enthusiasm that they did for like the first 3.5 games when KJ Jefferson fumbled. The season opener, they looked good. Second week, they looked good. They struggled against Missouri State. That was a big scare. Came back and won. A&M, they were lighting them up. Arkansas should have destroyed Texas A&M. If KJ Jefferson doesn't fumble and A&M returns it all the way, I actually think if KJ fumbles and A&M recovers at the 3 and then they go to half, Arkansas still up a touchdown, I still think Arkansas wins that game. But the return is what crushed them. And they were never the same after that. And that game was just heartbreaking from start to finish. The fumble and the kick, the potential game-winning kick off the tip of the upright. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. After that, Arkansas was done. The Bama game in Fayetteville the next week lost its luster. They were probably going to get to host game day. Didn't get to. Neely came back and beat Bama, then collapsed. KJ got hurt, and they got killed in Mississippi State. Later in the year, they lost to Liberty, lost to LSU without KJ. I mean, it would have been a completely different year if he doesn't fumble at that goal line. So Arkansas wasn't mentally tough. I think, and Pittman has even come out and said that. And I think this year they will be better in that regard. I think it's a scenario where when Arkansas makes a bad mistake, when they throw a pick six, when they fumble that's returned, when they're on the goal line and they don't score, I think this team is better suited to be like, you know what, that sucks, but we're going to be better. We'll be better. So that's number one. Number two was the secondary. And I think Josh just beat me to it. Josh just beat me. The secondary killed us. It did. Secondary was the worst in the country. It was god-awful. This year, better. Obviously, Pittman went out and addressed that. Orlando Johnson, Al Walcott, both coming in from Baylor to help boost that. Dwight McGlothern, very, very good from last year. Comes back as one of the better cornerbacks on the team, maybe one of the better cornerbacks in the SEC. So that's something that Arkansas's got going for me. You literally can't get worse, right? That's the only good thing for Arkansas is Arkansas's passing defense can't get any worse because they were the worst. They're either going to stay the same or get better. And with all the pieces coming back, the new additions and the new coordinators and everything, they should get significantly better. So that's something they've got going for them, no doubt. The defense should be light years better than it was last year. They should be more healthy than they were last year. So that's something. But the ultimate thing that comes down to Arkansas this year is two things. Number one, last couple of years, what's been the trend, right? Sam Pittman's teams that started strong. They started 3-0, 4-0, whatever it is. Arkansas's risen into the top 10. What's going to happen this year? Arkansas's going to start 3-0. At least they should. They'll beat Western Carolina. They'll beat Kent State. They'll beat BYU. They should win all those games. 3-0. They'll be in the top 25, maybe even in the top 20. That first game, conference game, is against LSU. Even if Arkansas loses that, it's in Death Valley, so they probably will. The next week is A&M. The A&M game will dictate the course of Arkansas' season. Because right now they are in that 4-game stretch for Arkansas where they play at LSU, A&M in Arlington, at Ole Miss, and at Alabama. 4 games in a row that aren't even in Fayetteville against some really, really good teams. All teams that are going to be like top 25, top 50, probably top. LSU will be top 10. A&M could be top 15. Ole Miss probably top 20. Alabama top 5, top 10. And not a single one of those in Fayetteville. I mean, it's a sin, honestly, that's what Arkansas got from the conference. That's ridiculous. So it goes. You go into the A&M game at 3-1, and you beat A&M, and you're 4-1. I think you beat Ole Miss next week. I think you get to 5-1, lose Bama, 5-2. Holy crap, you're looking good, right? 5-2, and then the schedule lightens up significantly. You could look at a 9-10 win season. But that means you're splitting 2 of those 4 games, and that's going to be really, really hard to do. So I guess the key thoughts are, obviously, health is paramount. Health is number 1. Improved secondary play is number 2. Improved mental toughness is number 3. And then it's obviously just not choking, because the last few years, Arkansas has had very strong starts, and in that middle of the schedule, they have tanked. 2 years ago, they rose to number 8, went on the road to Georgia, got demolished, and then went on like a 3-game losing streak. They lost to Georgia, they lost to Ole Miss, they lost to Auburn. Then last year, big start, went to A&M as a top 10 team, lost to A&M, they lost to Alabama, they lost to Mississippi State. I think the next week they beat BYU, and then like later on they lost to Liberty. They went on these like long 3-4 game losing streaks. That ruins your season. That ruins your psyche. That ruins everything for you. Arkansas can't allow that to happen. They've got to win at least one of that 4-game period if they start 3-0. If they don't start 3-0, their season's done. It's going to be a long year. They don't find a way to start 3-0. But I think they will. Then they have to win one of the next 4, and they can salvage a solid season. One of the next 4. I think your best bet for that is against A&M. And as we've seen in recent years, the season goes as the A&M game goes. If you beat A&M, you might be in for a solid year. If you lose, mentally you're not there. It's all downhill. So that's a long explanation. I appreciate you guys with the questions. Hope that answered your questions, gave you what you were looking for. Over under 7 wins, right on it, baby. Right on it. I predicted Arkansas at 7-5. That was my prediction for Arkansas this year. But if you're going to make me choose, do I go over 7 wins or under? I hate to say it, but I'd probably say under, because that's what Arkansas does. And I don't mean that like in a derogatory way, but if we're being honest here, how many times do we see Arkansas beat a team they shouldn't versus how many times do we see Arkansas lose to a team they shouldn't? That's what we're dealing with here. I believe Arkansas is more likely to drop a game they shouldn't drop than I am that they're going to beat a team that they shouldn't. And I don't want that to happen, right? Like, I want Arkansas to succeed. I genuinely do. But if history's any indication, Arkansas is going to slip up to somebody they shouldn't. They're not going to be mentally tough, whatever it is, and it's going to fall apart. So we'll see. Right at 7 wins for me. That's my prediction. But I appreciate it. Mr. Bloodline, thank you. Hey, that's a great segue. Then we're going to keep taking questions in the chat. We're going to keep taking your questions in the chat, probably to wrap up the show here for like the last 30, 40 minutes. But thank you again for your question. Follow us for betting tips, man. Follow us here. Follow us right here on the channel. So subscribe. And look, if you want some elite betting tips, which is 24/7 access to me, emails, text, the Discord, whatever, and then all the picks, we got our expert picks over on the gridironexpert.com. They are obviously, it's a paid subscription, but it's worth it. 62.7% of our bets we hit last year. We've beat out 80% of the national analysts each of the last 5 years. 80% of the national analysts each of the last 5 years. And plan on doing it exactly again this year. So we'd appreciate you if you signed up for that. Told your friends, because we're trying to get 100 signups this year. And that turns into a 24-hour live stream right here on the channel. So the expert picks, guys, are down in the description. It's over on our website. First picks come out tomorrow. A few of them are already been posted early. But we'd love for you guys to take advantage of those and win big with us and help our channel out a lot. But Mr. Blundline, thank you, sir. And Charter says he actually does answer emails. I do. How many did you and I send back? Charter, you and I were practically texting the other day during week 0. We were shooting emails to each other, but I looked at the total the other day, and it was like 62 emails in the thread. I mean, it was ridiculous. I was like, we probably just need to just move to text or something. But yeah, so I'll hook you guys up. It's the Gridiron Guarantee. We always respond to emails and text messages. Always. But I appreciate you. Mr. Bloodline, I agree. I agree that I hate A&M. I hate that A&M has Bobby. That hurts. Really, really hurts. And what else? What else we got here? Anything else I'm missing? I think that's it for now. All right, let's get back into the chat. And I appreciate that too, man. Thank you. That's the goal. It's just to keep building up, man. Keep building up. Try to become that. We're the best kept secret right now. We're hoping not to be a secret much longer. I think we're going to be breaking out here pretty soon. Hey, Daniel. Thank you, man. Thanks for being here. Good to see you, Daniel. I really appreciate that. It's been a while since we've talked, but it's great to hear from you. Great to see you pop up with a comment. We need to talk soon. We definitely need to talk soon, for sure. But go Penn State, baby. Big game against West Virginia on Saturday. I'm excited about it. We're getting a call right now. We're going to hold off right now. We might take one more before the night's done. I really want to catch up on the chat. So we're going to close the lines for a second. Might open them back up here at the end if we need to. So I apologize for that. Wavy K. Let's do NC State. You want me to shoot you straight, just like everybody else? And Eddie, don't worry. We'll go up. We're gonna scroll back up on the chat and work our way down. Don't worry, we got you. NC State's another one of those deals, right? Kind of like Arkansas. Last year had some pretty high expectations. Didn't live up to them, but a part of the reason they didn't was because of the injuries. I mean, when Devin Leary goes down early in the year, it kind of derailed the season in terms of the expectation of winning 9-10 games, something like that. The best thing I can say about NC State, if you want my true straight shot, is Dave Doeren is a good coach. He is a consistent coach, but I just don't know if NC State's ever going to break out. If that makes sense. Like, I don't have faith in this team to ever break out and win the 10, 11 games necessary to contend for a national title, an ACC title. They'll contend for an ACC title eventually, no doubt. And they've been good under Dave Doeren the last couple of years. They really have. Ryan Finley was good. Devin Leary was good. They've had great quarterbacks come through the program. Keep in mind, let's not forget, many years ago, Russell Wilson was the quarterback at NC State, believe it or not. But you look at this year, man. Brennan Armstrong coming in from Virginia, so transferring within the conference, but he was terrible last year. I know he battled injuries as well, but if Brennan Armstrong can return to his form, like his 2021 form at Virginia, where he was just dominant all over the place. He was dominant on the ground. He was dominant through the air, and Virginia was actually pretty solid offensively. If he can return to that form, NC State might not be too bad. They might be in pretty good shape. But if he doesn't, and we see a Brennan Armstrong like we saw last year, it won't be that great a year. NC State traditionally has a very strong defense. I hope a guy like Peyton Wilson can stay healthy. I think he's one of the more underrated linebackers in the country. But we don't talk about him nearly enough because he hasn't stayed fully healthy over the course of his collegiate career. But he's kind of the anchor of that defense, a heck of a leader. And it's just kind of one of those things that I hope to see him on the field for all 12 games. I want to continue this, but I want to give a shout out to our guy real quick. Dude, Max Todd. Bro, thank you so much. It's good to see you, Max. It's been a little bit. It's good to see you. Glad to have you here with us tonight, man. It's definitely good to be back. Season's finally underway. I know it's one of those things where the off season, it's hard, like when the season ends in like early January, going from January to August, it's brutal. It's brutal for all the fans. It's definitely brutal for a guy that's going to come out here and produce content. It's like, good God, what the heck do we talk about? But we always find a way. But Max, we're so glad to see you. Glad you're here. And thank you so much for the super chat, man. It means a lot. It goes a long way. That, the expert picks, everything like that. We take that money and we try to funnel it back into the channel as much as we can. Everything we do is to try to strive to be better. So thank you. And I hope you've been doing well. I want to continue on NC State again. The defense is not what I'm concerned about. It is the offense that I am concerned about. Quarterback play going to be the most important thing. And I'm pulling up their schedule right now. I don't have it in my pocket, obviously. They open the season on Thursday night against UConn, yes. We've got NC State at 7-5, right? We've got NC State at 7-5. And it's just one of those things where when you look at their schedule, the first bit of it's really, really favorable, but that back half is brutal. And you can't tell me right now that after the Marshall game, they go on the road to Duke, who's a good team. They host Clemson. They host Miami. They go to Wake Forest, who's not going to be as bad as people think, despite the loss of Sam Hartman. Everybody believes that one guy one player makes up the entire 22, right? You got to have 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense. Yes, losing a player or two, losing a quarterback or two, or key players, it makes a big difference, no doubt. But he is not your entire team. And Mitch Griffis at Wake Forest is going to be better than people think. So you go to Duke, play Clemson, play Miami, to Wake Forest, to Virginia Tech, who might not be great, but playing in Blacksburg is not easy. And then you play North Carolina. Earlier in the year, in week 2, you play Notre Dame. So they have the possibility to pull off an upset there. I wouldn't be shocked if they did. I don't think they will. I didn't predict them to beat Notre Dame. I'm sure as heck not picking on to beat Notre Dame now after what I saw against Navy on Saturday. And I don't think they're going to beat Clemson either. I think Clemson's going to be way too good, especially defensively. Clemson has every edge in that game against NC State other than home field advantage. They on the offensive edge, they on the defensive edge significantly. They just don't have home field advantage. And Clemson will overcome that. Like, no doubt. I think this team could maybe get to 8 wins this year, but this is not a year where they're going to break out. This is not a year where they're going to be 9, 10 wins, flirting with an ACC title. Keep in mind now with the new structure of the ACC, there are no divisions. So you have to actually finish in the top 2 of the entire conference to make it. And there's only a handful of teams that can do that. There's only a handful of teams in the ACC that could legitimately finish in the top 2. Clemson and Florida State, of course, are one of them. No doubt. You could maybe throw Pittsburgh in that mix, North Carolina in that mix. Those are probably my top 4 teams in the conference. Outside of that, you've got NC State's in there. Maybe Miami flirts a little bit. Louisville's a sleeper. But no one is getting ahead of Clemson and Florida State this year, bottom line. I think a very successful, a really, really good year for NC State is 8 wins, 8-4. That's a good year. We've got 7-5. All right, let's catch up on some of the comments here. I know we had a lot of calls, and we appreciate everybody that did call in tonight. So we have missed, obviously, a couple of chats, some of the chats that we wanted to reach. And so let's get to those. Let's see. Again, happy birthday, Jerry. I'm sure he's gone by now. They were going to the movies tonight for his 40th birthday. That's a big one. Big one. So I love it. Woke is a joke. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up here. I don't even know where I am. Let's see the next big question I can hit. Y'all talk a lot in this thing. That's great. Great engagement. Keep it up, guys. Well done. Well done. Again, Max, thank you for being here, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. I'm going to take it off to hit this question, but I really, really appreciate it. It does go a very long way. I want to hit Christian here. Do I think Louisville will be ranked in the top 25 sometime during the season? Yes, I do. I think they are that good. I think they could actually be ranked in the top 25 by the end of September, because I think I'm looking at the schedule right now. I think Louisville probably starts the year 4-0. They should beat Georgia Tech. They'll beat Murray State. They'll beat Indiana. Probably beat Boston College at home, which could set up a possible top 25 showdown against NC State. Friday night game on September 29th. So that is, yes, I think if Louisville starts 4-0, they'll be in the top 25. Low end top 25. If they're not and they beat NC State, they definitely will, because the AP is going to love to make Notre Dame and Louisville a top 25 matchup on October 7th. They love everything in their power to make that game maybe better than it will be. So, yes, I do think they will be ranked sometime this year. I think it'll be this month or September. Wish it was September now. Wish it was Thursday now, really, is what I was wishing. 2 days out, guys. 2 days out. Christian as well. If LSU and USC were to play each other, who would win right now? LSU. Offense can match them. Defense is significantly better. I think they got the better coach, too. Funny. Actually, that would actually be an intriguing game, right? Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley. Who wins that battle? I mean, I'm trying to think. Have they faced off? Lincoln Riley was at Oklahoma. Kelly was at Notre Dame. I don't think they ever faced off there. They haven't faced off here. Two guys that never really seem to be able to win the big games, right? Brian Kelly never won the big games at Notre Dame. Lincoln Riley never won in the college football playoff. So that would be interesting. Which coach finally gets over the hump and wins a massive game? That would be a fun playoff semifinal right there, or a fun bowl game, like a New Year's Six game. But my money would be on LSU for that game if I had to choose. That'd be a fun. That would be a fun matchup for sure. Let's see here. Still scrolling through. I like that. Bo Nix and John Rice Plumlee, their college eligibility will expire at the time their AARP discounts kick in. Honestly, though, right? We're talking about that without COVID years. You're getting guys that have been playing for 6, 7, 8 years. I think there was one player that's been there for 9. I think I saw a guy that'd been there for 9 years. Like he had his COVID year, then he had some injuries, so he was getting the red shirts from the injuries, and I can't remember who it was. It was no major starter or anything, but still, it is crazy to see the length that some of these guys and the amount of time some of these guys are staying in college football. I remember watching Bo Nix's first game back in wasn't that 2018? 2018 at Auburn when they beat, ironically, when he beat Oregon, who he plays for now. So that's 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 6 years. 6 years of college football. I mean, that's unreal. Same with John Rice Plumlee as well. I think he's been here about 6, at least 5, probably close to 6. Wild to think about how that works. We're getting to the point now where some of these guys are going to be out of the COVID window is about to be gone, right? COVID happened in 2021, 2020, 2021. So here in a few years, there aren't going to be any incoming players or players left in the college ranks that had to deal with COVID at the college ranks. And so that won't play a role anymore. So unless something happens, unless we get COVID 2.0 or something, which heaven forbid that happens. Josh French, I like that. Oh God, don't mention Chad. Yeah, Chad Morris is like the equivalent of a cuss word in Arkansas. I feel like you walk into like a bar and just shout Chad Morris, and you'll probably get beat up. Like, I mean, it's bad, man. You don't say Chad Morris, you'll scare the children. Like, honestly, guy just probably has the lowest IQ of any football coach I've ever come across. Brutal. God awful. Good to see you, Mark TR, baby. Good to see you. Let's go Miami. Go with the Canes. Ready to see them in action on, I think, Friday night, right? Friday night against Miami, Ohio. Should be a fun one. Let's see here. Yeah, I didn't see that comment. That's the bloodline. Thank you, my guy. Thank you. That's the pro. That's the pro of running the channel for 7 years, man. You learn a lot. You learn a lot, and we love to share it with you guys. That's the goal. So really appreciate that. Definitely. College football guys, Kyle McCord named as the permanent starter for week 1. Or just for week 1. Yeah, it's just for week 1. And look, Ohio State's going to win that game so big against Indiana that honestly, if Ohio State's winning that game by 30 plus at halftime or close to it, they might sub. Like, one half is Kyle McCord's, second half is Devin Brown. And we actually put a video out on this just the other day. We were talking about the quarterback battles at Ohio State and Alabama and how interesting they are and who was under the most pressure. And really, it's Alabama's under more pressure because Ohio State's got time to work it out. Yes, they open the season with a conference game, but they open against Indiana. That's not going to be an issue, right? So Ohio State has 3 weeks. They play, who is it? They play Indiana, Youngstown State, someone in week 3 that I'm blanking on, but it's no one good, right? Like, it's no one's Western Kentucky. It's Indiana, Youngstown State, and Western Kentucky. 3 weeks to figure out your quarterback situation before their first big game, which is against Notre Dame and South Bend. Alabama's got 1 week. You got Middle Tennessee and then Texas. You can't play a game against Texas and go, first quarter we played Jalen Milroe, second quarter we played Ty Simpson, or the first half we do. You've got to have someone you're confident in. Ohio State's got time. Alabama doesn't. So Kyle McCord is not the permanent starter. He's the starter for week 1, but he will win the starting job very quickly. It will be Kyle McCord's job for the year, and I feel very confident in that. I genuinely do. Let's see. Daniel Berg, good to see you again. I appreciate you and the support as always. Let's see what else we got. Oh, God, we've got a lot. I don't know. Eddie, I've never thought of that. I've never, you know what, but I'm flattered, genuinely. I've never, I might have to take a picture of this and go show that to my fiance. Actually, I think she'll vehemently disagree, but I'm going to be like, look, at least someone does. At least someone thinks that I've got some dashing good looks like Bruce Wayne. I mean, who knows, man? Maybe I do have an alter ego that only comes out at night, just fighting crime or whatever. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Batman movies. What can I say? I appreciate that, Eddie. Thank you. Let's see here. Matthew, what you got? Coaches are unusually excited about K-State's running game. They lost Vaughn, but they have to take two fans. Yeah, and they do. That actually is something that I think people are somewhat sleeping on is you lose Deuce Vaughn and everybody freaks out. But you're forgetting about the guys that are waiting in the wings. Same with Texas, right? Like you lose Bijan Robinson. That's a huge loss. They're going to be fine. It's a big player and obviously not going to be as electric. But honestly, Deuce Vaughn was a do-it-all player. And I'm not going to downplay Deuce Vaughn at all, right? But I felt like he was just kind of this all-purpose guy. He could do it all. He could run. He could catch passes. He could do special teams if he wanted to. He was everything. And now I think you're going to have two guys that could play a role in the passing game, but honestly, are going to be more runners. You're going to have more of a consistent, just solid ground game instead of just constantly using Deuce Vaughn everywhere. You kind of know what you're going to get. So I think that's a huge, huge point, Matthew, that people are definitely not talking about it. You're going to hear it all year long. Oh, how do we replace Deuce Vaughn? Well, we've got him. So excellent point. And Kansas State, legitimate, no doubt. Let's see what else. I agree. Stoned Thomas, Washington, Boise State, underrated game of the week. The Chris Peterson Bowl. Yes, definitely. Definitely a very underrated game of the week. I mean, if you're looking for Washington, I think, wins that game. But if you're looking for a top 10 team, not named LSU or Florida State because they play each other, if you're looking for a top 10 team that maybe could lose and get stunned in week one, it could be Washington. Boise State's the real deal. I actually believe they are the best group of 5 team in the country this year. Taylon Green returns to quarterback, dual threat quarterback. George Alani is back. Great wide receiver core. Defense, perfectly fine with Andy Avalos calling the shots. They were great last year. Should be good again this year. They're going to challenge Washington for a while. Probably about a half, and I think Washington pulls away. But it's one of those things. It's one of those things when you're an elite team like Washington, when you let a quote-unquote inferior opponent stick around, the longer you let them stick around, the more dangerous it gets. They build moment. It's one of those things. Boise's going to go into this game hoping to win. You never enter a game thinking you're going to lose, wanting to lose. But in the back of everybody's mind, it's like, okay, if we lose, it's not the end of the world. But if you get that, enter the fourth quarter and Boise State's winning or they're trailing by one possession, they just keep building momentum. It's like, we can do this. We can pull off this upset. They get confidence. They get power. And the more elite team is thinking, oh, crap, this wasn't supposed to happen. We're in trouble. And they panic. They get nervous. It's a mental game, guys. We talked about that with Arkansas. What's your mentality? How mentally tough are you in every situation, regardless of what's thrown at you? Can make or break a game. And that's something that genuinely can't be coached. You can hype your team up. You can give them a pep talk. You can try to get them to focus. But that's something that you just have to hope you have mentally tough players. You have to hope you have mentally tough guys. You can rally your troops in those tight situations. Not every team can do that. Not every player can do that. So what's your week one upset alert game? I could say that would be one of them. That could certainly be one of those upset alert games. We didn't have too many in week one, if I'm being honest with you. We'll have more for next week with those upset alerts. That could be one with Boise and I'm going to schedule Boise and Washington. South Carolina over UNC, mate. I mean, if you want to even call that an upset, that spread is so low. I think it's UNC by 2.5. It's almost a pick 'em. And I don't know if many people would view that as a massive upset. Yeah, it's an unranked team being a ranked team if it happened, but I wouldn't consider it a massive upset. Duke and Clemson. I mean, a lot of people are high on Duke. Maybe upsetting Clemson on Monday night, on Labor Day Monday. That game will be closer for a while than people think too. I think the Duke-Clemson game will be kind of similar to Boise State and Washington in terms of it's close for a while. And then the better team, which would be Clemson, which would be Washington, they ultimately pull away. But that would be fun. Very fun. Mitch, I'll see what I can do about Twitter, man. That's weird that you can't shoot a message. I'll see what if we can fix that. I don't know what that's about, but we'll fix that. Yeah, me too. Me too. I got triggered with some PTSD as well. It was rough. Rough, man. Met Chad Morris a handful of times. He reminded me of a guy that was just genuinely, and we all knew it when he was hired. He was in too far. He was in over his head, right? He was like a little kid. He's like a middle schooler. They got invited to the high school party. The freshmen, they got invited to the senior party, right? We all know he wasn't supposed to be there, but he was living the high life. He was just happy to be there. I don't care if I win or lose. I'm just happy to be here and making bank. And that's what he did, right? I think he was like, how the heck did I land this job? I was a good offensive coordinator at Clemson. I never produced a winning season at SMU, and now I'm the head coach for an SEC team that I've been tasked to rebuild. It just never made sense. So I think he was just like, I'm going to ride this high for as long as I can. Eventually, I think we all knew he was going to get let go. I knew he was going to get fired as soon as he got hired. I think it was a horrible decision, and obviously it was. And yeah, it was just like a little puppy. He was just excited to be there. Just happy to be here. In ways too over his head, it didn't work out. Mark says Miami versus Miami. Who wins? Miami. Good insight. Good insight. DM, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Can't take all the credit for that by any means. We've got a great one of my best friends. I think he's been on the show before. He's been mentioned on the show before as well. Our good friend Joshua Pruitt is a very phenomenal graphic designer, great editor, great anything tech, anything behind the scenes and tech savvy. Josh is your man, and he might be for hire. You never know. If you need his contact for anything, I'll hook you up. But he does a lot of our thumbnails and does a phenomenal job with them. The Flames. It's one of those things like I tell him what I want. I'm like, dude, this is it. Like, I get this vision. I got this vision for what I want. Can you do it? And he's like, I got it. Like, just give me a deadline and it's yours. So I will make sure to relay that message, DM. We appreciate that. I know he'll appreciate that because, yeah, it's that's actually one of my favorites personally. That was one of my favorite ones we've ever made for sure. I like when Xanax goes to the roof of Chad Morris. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. I want to hit this, Mr. Bloodline. I hope you're still here. Yeah, great question, dude. Yeah, let's do that, man. That'd be phenomenal. If you want, follow me on Twitter. Tag us on Twitter. On X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm gonna call it Twitter, man. It's always gonna be Twitter to me. I hate to break it to guys that like to call it X, but it's always gonna be Twitter to me. But dude, yeah, spread the word. That's how we grow, right? Tell them to come subscribe to us. We cover Arkansas quite a bit. Go follow me on Twitter so you and I can DM a little bit. We can talk. But if you want to shout us out on Twitter, tell them to come follow us. Tell them to sign up for those expert picks. And look, man, we'll even, we'll run some promos across the board here on the channel and everything to try to get them over here. We do talk about Arkansas a lot, and we will be talking about them quite a bit later on this year. I believe they're going to start 3-0, which means they'll crack the top 25, which means those games against LSU, A&M, things like that, we'll have a lot of coverage for those games right here on the channel, just like we will here in the live stream. So best way to spread the word about the channel is to spread it on every social media you got. Tag us if we're on it. We're on Twitter. That's our biggest one, at Gridiron Expert. Send out the links to our channels. Tell them to subscribe. We do giveaways. We do promos. We do live streams like this. We're just trying to build a community, man. That's the goal. Just trying to build a community and grow. We saw some really exponential growth over the last couple of weeks, and we want to keep doing that. So we can get even half of your Razorback fans, bro. We can get half of your Razorback fans. We would that'd be huge for our channel, So spread the word, tag us. I'll interact with them. I'm a huge supporter of the Hogs as well, believe it or not. So I will I'll interact with them as well on Twitter and on here on the channel. So shoot me a DM, and if you to do that, I'd really appreciate it. Genuinely, we'd love to keep growing. for sure. Let's see here. I like that from Charter. Boise State's good since they've been good since they traded their coach to Auburn. That was another hire, right? Chad Morris hire to Arkansas was ridiculous. I mean, everybody knew when Brian Harsin took the Auburn job, like, we're done. Like, I mean, I don't know how you felt, Charter. And you and I have talked about it, obviously. It's like anytime you get a new coach, you hope for the best. You want to be optimistic. You don't want to immediately shoot the guy down. But sometimes you just know. Sometimes you're just like, this is going to fail. And that's exactly what happened with Harsin. That's exactly what happened with Morris. And we saw what happened. Boise's still been pretty relevant. Auburn was not. But Auburn will be back very, very soon with Hugh Freeze, no doubt. No doubt. Let's see here. Hey, Sarah Brown. Sarah Brown, Hail State as always. Hail State as always. Clang that cowbell, right? Clang that cowbell, baby. That's my fiance, everybody, by the way. That will be the new Mrs. Gridiron Expert in a little over a year. So there you go. Some great. I want to touch on Josh's question here a little bit, but Brandon Bettis, let's get a subscriber. What will Clemson's record be this year? Brandon, I don't know what you're looking for, bro, but I've got it undefeated. I've got 12-0, baby. I got Clemson making the college football playoff. I don't know if you like that answer or not, but that's what we've got. I genuinely believe that. One of the best defenses in the country. Cade Klubnik's the real deal. Garrett Riley's going to work wonders with him, just like he did with Max Duggan at TCU. They get past Florida State and Notre Dame, both of which are at home. Death Valley, one of the most difficult places to play in the country. I think Clemson's playoff bound. Not many people want to pick that, but I think they bounce back this year. I do. I genuinely do. And look, boys, we got one. Brandon, you're the man. You're the man. I appreciate you. He loves the answer, so he's subbing to the channel. Shoot, man, if that's all I got to do. That's true. That's on our channel. We're not BSing you. If you go watch our Clemson prediction video, it's on our channel now, and we have them at 12-0, and then we have our playoff prediction video. I think I've got Clemson coming in as the 3 seed and playing Michigan in the playoff semifinal. That's what I've got. So really, really excited about Clemson football this year. Mr. Bloodline, thank you, man. Yeah, spread the word. Tell them to come to us. Tell them to follow us on Twitter. But more than anything, we need subscribers here. We need subscribers here. We need subscribers with the expert picks. Tell them you said you love the betting advice. Tell them we've got the best betting advice here, especially over on our website. That will go a long way for us as well. Those expert picks, guaranteed winnings, and we can promise you that. So thank you, man. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for the support. Stay in touch, man. We're doing this every Tuesday at 7. Bring the Hog Nation. Come run as that wild band of Razorbacks. Like, that's how they got their name back in the late 1800s, 1900s, early 1900s. Pretty awesome. Pretty dang awesome. Going to be at a handful of Arkansas games this year too, man. Going to 3. So if you're going to be at some, we'll link up for sure. Josh, Arkansas got let go of Brett Bielema way too soon. No, they didn't. I want to be honest with you. They didn't. It was time. Bielema needed to go. What happened was hindsight's 2020. I would, if I'm Arkansas, I would have much rather had Bielema in 2018 than Chad Morris. I would have rather kept Bielema around longer if I had known what was to come with Chad Morris. Or that's where Arkansas screwed up. Bielema needed to be fired, but they needed to hire someone good to replace him, and they didn't do that. They rushed it. They rushed it because they didn't have an athletic director. Julie Cromer-Peoples, who somehow has an athletic director job now, butchered that hire. Hunter Yurachek came in, didn't want to ruffle any feathers his first couple of weeks on the job because he was the new guy, so he signed off on it. Hunter Yurachek didn't make that hire. Julie Cromer-Peoples did. And she sent Arkansas down a very, very dark path. Brett Bielema needed to go because Bielema was never going to win at Arkansas. Best year he had was 8-5. Best year he had was 8-5. And you can't tell me that you were happy. If you're Arkansas, you can't tell me you were happy with consistently blowing 24-point leads. You blow a 24-0 lead, 24-7 lead against Missouri in 2016, and then the following game we're up 24-0 over Virginia Tech in your bowl game, and you blow that. And then 2017, you've got loads of talent come back, and you get butchered on your home turf against TCU, and then getting blown out consistently against some of your top rivals at home. never made adjustments, never lit into his team, never seemed to be passionate like he wanted to be there. Again, best year was 8-5. You can't tell me you were happy with blown leads and never finding a way to close games, because that was what the Brett Bielema era to me can be summed up as, was an era of Arkansas football where when Arkansas held a fourth quarter lead of any margin, you knew they were going to lose. I don't know if you can really prove me wrong on that. I can count on 5 different hands the amount of blown leads that Brett Bielema had during his time at Arkansas. I actually did some deep digging on this. I think over his coach from 13 to 17, I think he had over 21, 22 blown double-digit leads. Think about that. Think about how different Arkansas football could have been and could be now had he won those games. Had he even won half of those games. Couldn't do it. It was time for him to go. You know, he got a pretty long grace period because he won. Look, he had 3 straight winning seasons. 14, 15, 16, 3 straight winning seasons, 3 straight bowl games. Can't be too upset with that, especially he was in the midst of trying to stabilize a program that was falling apart after the Bobby Petrino fiasco in 2012. A season that I will continue to stand by. Had Bobby Petrino not ridden that motorcycle, I know some people believe that, he was beat up. Whatever you want to believe, I firmly believe Arkansas plays for a national championship in 2012 if that does not happen. And I will stand by that till the day I die. We'll never know. But if Bobby Petrino coaches Arkansas in 2012, the pieces were there for Arkansas to run the table and get to a national championship game. We'll firmly believe that. That was the year that Alabama played Notre Dame in the national championship. Maybe Arkansas doesn't beat Alabama in 2012, but they don't lose 52-0. Not a chance. They definitely don't lose to ULM in 2012. And again, go back to mentally. I mean, Arkansas was toast after that anyways, but mental toughness wasn't there. But if Petrino's there, they don't lose some of those games. Arkansas doesn't go 4-8. They are playing in another Sugar Bowl or for a national championship. And I will stand by that. For me, one of the biggest what-ifs in Arkansas football history. No doubt. Let's see. Scotty B, good to see you, man. Congratulations. I saw that picture, by the way. I saw your picture on Instagram with Dave Aranda. That was really awesome. I don't know what it was like, Scott, but one thing I'll tell you is just from the picture alone, it looked like Dave Aranda was just honestly was taking a genuine interest in what everybody that went up there and took a picture. Like he seemed genuinely, it wasn't just like a, hey, how are you, picture, move on. Like he actually seemed to care what you were talking about. And I think there was another picture you showed where he was doing it with somebody, talking to somebody else. And he just seemed genuinely interested in who you were, what you had to say. And I admire the heck out of that. You know, some coaches don't do that. They're just like, it's a photo op. Let's get through this as quick as we can. He didn't seem to be that guy. So I've always had a lot of respect for Dave Aranda, dating back to his days as obviously at DC, but obviously at Baylor. Got a very big soft spot for Baylor myself. So I thought that was awesome. So I'm glad you got to meet him, got that picture with him. I know it was the whole Meet the Bears event, which looked awesome. Not many programs do that either. So besides the weather, it looked like an awesome night. Rick, do I remember watching the Kick Six? I do. Never forget where I was, what I was doing. Obviously, late November, it was freezing, so I had the fire going. My whole family was in the living room watching it. And I remember when the kick went up, I thought, he might make this. Because it looked like he was going to have the distance, which was about to be absurd. So I thought, this might actually have a chance. And then you realize it was drifting. And it's like, okay, he's not going to get it. And I actually don't even think I realized that Chris Davis was in the back of the end zone until he caught the ball. I think I was so focused on the kick itself that I wasn't focusing on anything else. And then I saw Davis take it, and I was like, you realize at the time that Nick Saban didn't account for that because he didn't put anybody – the people that were chasing Chris Davis were heavier offensive linemen. There was no one there that had the speed other than maybe the kicker that could have caught him. And obviously we know how it ended. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. oh my God, Auburn's going to win the football game. It never gets old, right? I mean, I'm not an Auburn fan. I'm not an Alabama fan, but one of the most iconic moments in college football history, and still gives me chills every time I watch it. It's pretty freaking awesome. So yeah, I remember everything about that moment. Let's see. Brandon Bettis, I appreciate that. Rick, again, is Kansas football going in the right direction? Yes, they are. How can they not be? They're finally taking the time to invest money in their program. I think they're investing about $300 million in new facilities and a new stadium upgrade, because Memorial Stadium right now is not that nice. It really isn't. Been there, played on the field there, did a prediction video on the field there. It was awesome. But by Big 12 standards, it's not there. Now with the expanding Big 12, they're going to need to up their game a little bit. And yeah, they're going in the right direction. Lance Leipold has exceeded expectations. What is this? Only year 3? He's going into year 3 now in Lawrence, and has done a phenomenal job. Kansas is not going to contend for a Big 12 title or anything this year. The defense simply won't allow them, but the offense will keep them in a lot of their games. Kansas, to me, is the USC of the Big 12. The offense is electric, and I think can hang with anybody. The defense is downright awful, and so they're going to find themselves in a lot of high-scoring games, or they're going to find themselves in a lot of blowouts, and not on the good side of it, because they finally face a team that has a good defense that shuts down that offense, and then Kansas can't stop them. It's going to go both ways. But Kansas should go bowling, which a couple of years ago sound would have been a joke. They went bowling last year, nearly beat Arkansas, as we know. And then this year they should be back in a bowl game as well. So back-to-back bowl games, yeah, I'd say that's trending in the right direction in a pretty significant way. Let's see here. Sam Pittman, love him. It's a big year for him. But I love him. I think he's a good guy. The biggest thing I really appreciate about Sam Pittman and admire about Sam Pittman, and I wish more coaches were like this. It's one of those things where this was Sam Pittman's dream job, right? He always wanted to be at Arkansas. He grew up loving the Hogs, grew up, 70-something miles away from Fayetteville, over in Oklahoma, wasn't that far. He was a Hog through and through. Being the O-line coach with Arkansas under Bielema was a dream for him, but he had to leave for better opportunities. He saw the writing on the wall. He was like, I might never get to be a head coach. If I want to win a national championship, or if I want to go actually coach some higher level players, I'm going to go to Georgia. I'm going to join Kirby Smart at Georgia. And that's what he did. But the reason that he has succeeded so well at Arkansas, the reason he has built them back up in the span of, this is year 4 for him now. Yeah, year 4. The reason he's done that is because he genuinely cares about the program. He genuinely understands Arkansas football. He understands the passion behind it, the culture behind it. And honestly, he's a genuine guy. He's a straight shooter. He's not a coach that's going to BS it. He's not a coach that's going to sugarcoat. He's going to go out there. He's going to tell you how it is, whether you like it or not. And more coaches need to be like that. More coaches need to be that way in terms of their coaching style, but more coaches need to be that way in terms of how they treat their program, right? I don't think Brian Harson's dream job was Auburn. I don't think Hugh Freeze's dream job was Auburn. I don't think Nick Saban's dream job was ever Alabama by any means. No one really knows what the dream jobs are necessarily, but I think for a while, a lot of coaches, it's always, what's the next step, right? So I start coaching at a Sun Belt school. I'm going to do my best here. I want to do good here, but eventually I'm looking for that next step. I'm looking for that next big opportunity to go coach a bigger school that's going to pay me more money, is a bigger brand. I can get more recruits, have bigger funding. And who wouldn't, right? People like us, who wouldn't want to leave for a better job? Someone comes to you tomorrow and offers you a job with a significant raise, better benefits, everything that you want, or everything that's going to make your lifestyle 10 times better. You'd be crazy not to take it, right? Coaches are in the same boat. They are. But the reason Sam Pittman has succeeded is because there never is a better job. This is his dream job. Sam Pittman's never leaving for a better opportunity. This will be his last coaching job. He's not going to go be a head coach anywhere else. It's Arkansas, and I'm done. He's going to retire in Hot Springs on the lake. Game over. So I like him. I think he's a great guy. He's a genuine dude, and he's done extremely well. And that's for a really good, a major reason why. It's because of that. Let's see. Last few questions, and we'll wrap things up tonight. Rooks baby, do I think Hugh Freeze for Auburn is the right hire? Yes, I do. And I believe he will turn things around. Not in year one. Not in year one. It'll take some time. Like next year, year 3 could be the year that Auburn breaks through. He's got to lay the foundation. But he's done it everywhere he's been. I don't think Auburn's any exception. I think this was a good place, a good fit for him, and he'll do. Auburn's got to be patient. I know how Auburn can get, obviously, and everybody wants instant gratification. They want to immediately contend, and so if Hugh Freeze were to go 6-6 this year, Auburn fans might be calling for his head. But I think by year 2, year 3, he breaks through and really becomes very competitive. I think it's going to be, I think it was a great hire, one of the best hires of the offseason by far, no doubt. Yes, Hawaii is beating Stanford. Yes, they are. We predicted that back in the summer and are standing by it now, especially after what I saw out of Hawaii on Saturday. No quit in the Rainbow Warriors. Great improved quarterback play under Braden Shager. But more importantly, home field advantage and a Stanford team that's dealing with a new coach and hardly any returning talent. They've got a quarterback battle between two guys that combined have attempted like 20 passes in their career combined. So new quarterback, new schemes, new coach, horrible defense from last year. Just so many things that aren't going right for Stanford. Hawaii's already got a game under their belt. I love Hawaii in that game. I genuinely do. So again, I've stood by that for the last few months. Max, I'm sorry, my guy. I know he hates it. Max, our resident Alabama fan. I know you hate it, but it was iconic. It was iconic. And that was, that was like the last time that Auburn had like that massive moment, right? Like they won that and got to the national championship. And they've had good years since then. Sure. Had they defeated Georgia in the 2017 SEC championship, Auburn's in the college football playoff. Maybe you get an Iron Bowl national championship. How about that? That would have been something. But, crazy. But that 10 years, that makes me feel old, man. That's insane. Didn't realize it'd been that long. Man, I knew it was 2013, but geez. It's time to end the stream. That makes me sad. Last question here from DM. Which week 1 game do I want to attend? God, I could have a list a mile long for you, DM. I think number 1 would be LSU Florida State. That's going to be the best game of the weekend. The best game of week 1 will be LSU Florida State in Orlando. So that's number 1. But I'd probably say outside of that, I'd probably say West Virginia, Penn State. Not because I think it's going to be a close game, but because Penn State and Happy Valley, that's so high on my bucket list to be there for that. Like to be in Happy Valley for a Penn State game, in particular, a Penn State night game. The whiteout game is number 1. I want to be at the whiteout game so bad, but even as being there for a night game, I would take that. And that would probably be my number 1 because it's going to be a night game, new era with Drew Aller and the running backs coming in, and a Penn State team that's in the top 10, has playoff aspirations. A West Virginia team, rivalry renewed. That's going to be an electric atmosphere. Awesome atmosphere. So number 1, Orlando, Florida State, LSU. Number 2, West Virginia, Penn State, night game, Saturday night. Going to be awesome. Those will be my top 2 week 1 games, no doubt. Well, guys, with that, I think we'll wrap things up. I think the chat is slowly coming to a close. I think we're slowly dying down. It's getting late. I know it's getting late on the East Coast. It's getting late here in the Central Time Zone. 9:15. Went longer than we expected, but because we had such great attendance, great discussion. So, guys, I'll leave you with this: college football's back, right? College football is back. It's officially back. There's no more waiting. We are less than 48 hours away from week 1 kicking off on Monday. Or I need to go to bed on Thursday. Less than 48 hours away from it kicking off on Thursday. It's back, and we're going to have you covered every step of the way. We've got some great analysis videos coming out. We put out our Florida-Utah video today. Tomorrow, 2 videos coming your way. Yeah, we're giving you a 2 for Happy Hump Day. North Carolina, South Carolina. And then LSU, Florida State. Those predictions come out tomorrow. Colorado, TCU on Thursday, Duke and Clemson on Friday. If you are a part of our Discord, you will see our posting schedule every single week. We put out our posting schedule every Sunday, so you'll know exactly what videos are coming your way for the entirety of the week. So definitely check out that when you get a chance. But let's discuss, guys. We're going to have tons of content coming your way. We'll respond to all your comments, all your emails, all your Discord messages, and let's get ready for some college football. It's the best time of the year. Couldn't be more happy. We couldn't be more thankful for all of you guys, your support, and your investment into our channel. So as always, please continue to like, to comment, to subscribe. Hit that like button on your way out if you didn't already. Helps boost those analytics. Check out the expert picks. It's been ticking across the screen all night long. Again, our first picks come out tomorrow. Best picks, spread picks in the country. Take advantage of them. Win big with us, guys. We want you to become a part of that. Remember, 100 signups this season gets you a 24-hour live stream. And we really want to do that. We want to get there. So hook us up. 24-hour live stream for 100 signups this year would be awesome. And if we do it, we'll do it on a Friday so we can do a 24-hour stream into a Saturday and watch college football live with you guys right here on YouTube. So that's going to be the ultimate goal. So check out those expert picks down in the description below. Our mailing address for some additional gear. You guys know the drill. We say it in every video. We probably kill you with it, but it's how we grow. It's how we build the channel. But from DM, college football guy, Mr. Bloodline, thank you again for the support, man. Hoping to see a huge horde of hogs coming in to the Gridiron Expert here over the next couple of weeks. We appreciate you and willing to share our channel. Mark TR, my guy, Eddie Rose, Max Todd, thank you again for the super chat and welcome back. We're so glad to have you here. Doggy, C. Glassman, Scotty B, Rooks Baby, Josh French, Rick, Brandon Bettis, a new subscriber because we got the prediction right. My man, who else? College football guy, Charter Nicholson, I appreciate you. Sarah Brown, love you. Let's see, Wind. Who else? I want to make sure we get as many shout-outs in there as possible. Paxton, Robert, Stone Thomas Takes, Eugene Murphy, College Football Guru, College Football Guy, Mitch, our man Mitch, Flo, South Text, and everybody else that called in tonight. We appreciate you guys, all your support. Have a great rest of your night. Enjoy the content coming your way the rest of this week, and we'll see you next time right back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Time, right here on the Gridiron Expert. Have a great night, everybody.